One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Let's go. Hi, everybody. We're talking bugs and roaches and cicadas and all kinds of gross stuff. But that's okay. We're going to drop that subject now. We don't want to oogie everyone out. We've already had a few people decide they're never coming to Malta now after me describing roaches and cicadas the size of jumbo jets. Yes, I am recording, Tom. Thank you very much. Thank you for the reminder at the last second. I hit the record button. So it's the Unfuck It discussion, and we're going to open up. I had a conversation last night, and the European contingents, they were up, obviously, because they're in my time zone. And I happened to be in a conversation with Dawn, who was just getting ready to go to bed, and she went and woke up Maury, and then we all ended up, I don't know what time they went to bed. It was like the middle of the night. Wait, the hell, middle of the night. So we had an interesting conversation. It was one of those conversations that you start in one place, and then everyone just kind of pings off of each other, and you end up in some strange places. So I'm going to try and lay this out in a relatively succinct way. I want to play another game, my favorite game show of What If? What if? So I wrote the article last week, and we talked about it the last Unfuck It show a little bit, talking about the simulated reality, the idea of a holographic matrix, a simulated reality. Okay, and this is not new. We've discussed this as one of the multiple theories that's kind of all over the place at the moment. And I don't even think I could paraphrase the conversation how we got to this point of the conversation. So I'm sorry, you're going to probably miss a few steps, and you'll have to just bear with me as we jump through the topic. We started talking about the simulated reality. If this is a completely simulated reality, a virtual reality, a hologram, whatever you want to call it, there's a bunch of stuff that keeps coming up. And things like, for example, we're talking about, again, the loops, the time loops that just keep going around and around, with everything going back to 2013, etc. History being really, really, we're really seeing some very, very fucked up stuff now, historically wise. And if someone will remind me, one of you guys, Tom, you remind me, fucked up history, 3 levels. You remind me of that later on, because I might forget. We're seeing all this stuff play out. And we're discussing our own experiences. We're talking about the things that we've felt, the things that we've picked up on, the things that as you go through information, what resonates with you, what doesn't resonate, et cetera, et cetera. And I threw out something at the crew that I was talking to this morning about memory. I think I know where this started off. I think, strike me if I'm wrong, this started off when we were talking about ages and how none of us feel our perceived age, like the age that we're supposed to be on paper.
That's correct.
And that's how it started. Thank you, Maury. Because it was just Dawn's birthday yesterday. Should I tell them how old you are, Dawn? Should I? No? Okay.
50.
She hit the big 5-0. Dawn hit the big 5-0. I can't believe it. She still looks like she's 19. So we had this conversation, and we're talking about ages and how none of us feel like the age we purportedly are. And more so than that, I don't know about anyone else, because we didn't actually dig into this, but I have never felt the age that I'm purportedly was supposed to have been my entire life. never ever felt that I was in a specific age. I went on a little memory journey, and I can't even remember. I think it may have even been all the articles about the simulated reality, because this is where this has been kind of bubbling up from. I went on a little memory journey, and I want to put an exercise there for all of you guys to try too. If you go back to like your earliest memory that you have from your childhood, and I have a memory of that my aunt tells me is when I was 3 years old. And everyone swears I can't possibly remember it, but I very clearly remember sitting in a mud puddle out front of our house playing with one of my dolls. And move yourself forward through your years, if you will, and think about each year. Think about what you remember of each year. I want everyone just kind of think about this for a second. What you remember at a given age, say 8, 10, 18, pick an age and think about what you actually remember about that entire year. And one of the things that I realized is I have massive, massive gaps in my memory. And I mean gaps that you could like, drive the proverbial Mack truck through. I.e., I can remember things like what my grade 2 classroom looked like. But I can't tell you the name of any other person that was in that class. I can't tell you the name of my teacher. I can't even tell you what she looks like. I can remember things that happened when I was 10. Now, when I was 10, my sister was hit by a car, and I was with her at the time. We were walking back from the shop across a major street. We had the green light. We went across, and a car came through the red light and hit my sister. And she ended up in hospital for 3.5 months. And the car missed me by about that much. And I remember, obviously, specific points of reference during that entire thing. I don't remember. You remember silly little moments, but I can't tell you what I did that summer. I know that I stayed with friends and family for the most of the summer because my mom was in hospital with my sister, her leg was in traction. She was in traction for 3 months. I remember that when she got out of her body cast, my dad took us to Disney World. We all went down to Florida. We drove down because my grandma, being a typical snowbird, Canadian snowbird, she had a retirement home, like a little mobile home down in Florida. And we would go down, but it was a big deal because my sister had missed basically her entire summer vacation, literally. We all went for 2 weeks in Florida. We went to Disney World. I remember nothing of Disney World. I remember nothing of the entire trip to Florida other than a fishing bit where a freaking pelican stole the fish off my fishing line. That is literally the only actual clear memory I have of that entire trip. Going to Disney World, you would think that would be one of those you'd have memories. And I went even into my teenage years, and I went even into my 20s. And I started trying to put my memories together. Not so much the big, huge events, but the things that happened, linking together this event with this event with this event, the in-between times. And you remember that you worked someplace and you had a job, but there's no memories of really doing anything. There's nothing that links these memories together. And this has been kind of bugging me for about a month now. So we're talking today. And during this conversation this morning, and like I said, I can't possibly go through the steps of how we got to this one space. What I don't have is the emotional memory. And I walked everyone through it who was on the call. And I said, I have no emotional memory. I have no emotions associated with the memories other than the emotions that you assign to them later on. You know, you're looking through the family photo album and I see a picture of me wearing a fucking Mickey Mouse ears at Disney World when I was 10. and you have a big grin on your face, and you assign from that picture a happy emotion to it because you must have been happy you were a kid. There you are at Disney World. But I have no emotional memory of those moments. And I went through and really started looking at this. And when I talked to the few people who were on the call today, early this morning, my time, I asked, do you have your memories? Do you actually remember your life? Or do you remember the still shots, i.e. the photo album of your life? Well, here's a picture of you in grade 10. Here's a picture of you playing baseball in grade 11. And here's a picture of you. Do you know what I mean? And do you actually have the emotional memory that goes along with the experiences that you had? Not stuff that you've assigned to it later on, but at the actual moment. And the one that came up is it was, Maury, I know you said the same thing. I have no emotional memory of my past. There's nothing concrete there. Nothing concrete. You have the memories, you have specific ones, but it seems like all the filler stuff in between, it's just filler stuff. It's inconsequential, and it doesn't even matter. So I threw out a hypothesis. So we've talked about timelines, and we've talked about, for example, the Russian one. Igor brought it up a couple of shows ago, talking about the scientist who was working with the KGB in the 80s, who discovered when they went and tracked back down the timeline that timeline had originated in March 1st, 1953. That was as far back as they could find the beginning of that time. What if we talk about the cosmic question of whether this is all we've just been inserted into this reality? What if it wasn't something that happened, started up per se back in the 50s or 100 years ago, et cetera, et cetera? What if it happened 5 years ago, 10 years ago? And there is, like I said, there's just interesting things we can talk about. We talked about certain days. Someone's feeding back through their. Who is it?
It was me. I'm guilty. I apologize.
Go stand in the naughty corner, Marty. Okay. So one of the dates that came up really strongly within the group we were talking to was the year 2010. And I now know a lot of people who went through really life-changing events in 2010. And I mean like radical life change, not just life-changing, but where your life changes to an entirely new perspective. Whether it's all of a sudden leaving religion, or all of a sudden, do you know what I'm saying? And I looked at this and it was just like, okay, there's something going on here. There's a piece here. Because when you can't remember certain things, and it's not that, for example, and I talked about this with the group earlier today, it's not that I'm emotionless or I don't feel emotion, because right now I get totally impassioned by shit. And I get really angry, or I get really happy, or I get really sad. I have all the capabilities of emotion. So why is it not there in that past? Why do I not feel it? Even if in events, like I said, like my little sister getting hit by a car, there should be a shocking amount of emotional memory attached to that event, and it's not there. It's just not there. Yeah, see, there's a bunch of people who are talking about, yeah, Deb, it is. And okay, this is it. It's a mind-blowing thing to ponder. It really, really is. I'm asking everyone to kind of really look, because the one thing we know is that we don't know. And I like to be able to look at all the different aspects. I like to be able to kind of throw out theories and see how people think about it. Because this is something that, to me, I don't know. Okay, now, Ihor, okay, exactly. Now, here's the thing, though. People do have, when I said 2010 as a year, I was using that just as an example, right? In the conversation, and then in conversations I had afterwards with a couple of other friends, and would talk to Nick about a few things. It doesn't mean that it happened all at once. Do you know what I mean? Like, boom, here's a date, and it was like, March 1st, 2010. Bloof, that's when it all happened. And I think that there's almost like a staggering. I mean, time is irrelevant. One thing we know now is that time is not linear. It's fucking irrelevant. But it just feels odd. And it's the more and more we get into this, the more and more we keep saying, this is not my fucking reality. There's nothing about this reality that is real, that resonates with me. And events happen in the news, and we are so disconnected that you just sit there and go like, I can't even deal with this stuff. It is so ridiculous. So I threw out a little hypothesis to everyone. So first of all, is everyone following me with what I'm just saying? Everyone's kind of got that. Yeah, it's a fucking mess out there, Maria. Sure the fuck is. Okay. What's one of the things we'll even say it, a descriptive term that has been thrown out there? Now, not just in the whole New Age movement, because yes, it's been really pushed by the whole New Age movement, UFO disclosure, blah, 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 ascended ass masters, etc. But even in prophecy, a lot of old prophecies talked about the theory of the walk-in. And we've always kind of taken it, or let's just say the way it's presented is it's kind of presented like, like another being from another planet, another entity, another astral being, whatever, walks in and takes over your body. Which for most people, at least for me anyways, was like, I don't fucking think so. Like, yeah, like, no, not interested. Walk-ins. But what if the walk-in is us, our whole consciousness walking into this body? So Maury made a really fucking good point. He says he's got a younger brother, and his younger brother always likes to talk about the good old days, and he talks about, them as kids and what they did, blah, 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 blah. And that his younger brother has all kinds of emotional memories that he discusses in his childhood. And Maury said, like, he really doesn't have that. He remembers there's stories like, but the emotional attachment, the emotional memory is not there. And he says, his brother remembers him all along. I said, yeah, but what if you, the real you, the you, Maury you, just came into that avatar in the last couple of years? Which is why you don't have an emotional attachment to the stories of your past, because technically you didn't live it. The you, the whole you, the real, the conscious, completely conscious you never lived those things because you weren't in that avatar at the time. And there's a lot of interesting shit in this that I was looking at going, I've had time like later on today to kind of run through some more thoughts on this. And one of the things that came to me was, and I got a chance to ask by you guys early on in the conversation, was, what if all the people who are awake are the ones who have come consciously into their bodies? They are the walk-ins, i.e. you've consciously walked into your avatar and you are now in full control, if you will, of that suit. I don't know. A little something there to kind of ponder.
I have a question, Dee.
Yeah.
So if we just walked into this, suit, like I default or fell into my own this suit. What happened to the other, you know, person?
It's not another person. It's not another person, right? That's what we're saying. If you imagine that this is a simulation,
right?
It's kind of like if you're playing a mad game of something. Okay, everyone uses Second Life as an example. I've never played it, so I can't really make a fair example of this. But if there's characters in the game, and there's a storyline playing out in the game, the storyline's playing out in the game, the storyline's playing out in the game, and then you decide to start playing that game, and you're like, okay, I'm going to take this character here, who is the whatever, pick whatever. That's who the character I'm going to play. And you come into the middle of the storyline, and now you're that character. That storyline is still there before. That character was all throughout the storyline before, but was not conscious. Or let me rephrase that. Was not fully conscious, fully aware. And that's the thing, is that when I look at my own personal past, I have a lot of questions now, because like I say, memories don't line up. The memories don't line up, and there are massive gaps that have been missing.
I have memories that I feel don't line up. Like, I can remember going to see Never Ending Story 2 with a tall friend that I met from high school. We went there and we saw the movie. Then this one girl that I used to go on a grade school bus came up to me, and she was like, all ranting at me. Well, you guys did this to me, and you guys did that to me on the bus. I'm like, whoa, wait, I'm sorry for whatever I did. Can you please calm down? Like, but what I also remember about that night was I got back home and I'm playing on my on my NES Super Mario 2. And I was into that game. Was it 2 or 3? No, it was 3. But yeah, I mean, I have other memories that just feel like total blanks. Like, my memories are weird memories that I have. Like, I can remember being at my grandparents and seeing this like green sky, like, and we were told, put your heads down, you know, because it's a tornado coming through or whatever. Because I live in Tornado Alley.
Yeah.
And I remember Arizona not having, now Arizona has a rainy season, you know, and it says, well, it started in 2008. Well, wait a minute. If it's having a monsoon season, wouldn't that be ongoing throughout history, like a weather pattern like that? But it never did that in my reality. So it's
this is the thing. Okay, so we talk about things like Mandela effects. We talk about all these different things, right? Now, I'm going to bring up Patrick. You just said something that's really fucking interesting, because that was one of my questions too. What if your lifetimes from other timelines have merged? Wouldn't it dilute the emotional intensity of your present experience?
Probably.
Okay, but also, what if in this merging, you have your one consciousness? Like, you have this one, I hate using fucking descriptive words on this because they're all so fucking programmed. But you have your whole self consciousness, if you will. And as these timelines are merging, you're bringing in all this information. But it's still the main seed, if you will, of yourself.
Right.
It's absorbing all these memories. Yeah, there wouldn't be the intensity of it. And yet it could carry certain pieces of it, which is where we get the Mandela effects from, where it's like you specifically remember a specific thing because reality is actually changing. And that was actually a really interesting video that a guy put out. I've never heard of this guy before. I'll be fucked if I can remember his name. It was posted in the UU room, I think, yesterday. And he says, the reality is a simulated hologram. And the Mandela effect isn't because of timelines. It's because they are literally changing the simulation program, i.e. just fucking randomly dropping all kinds of crap in there. And to what end? Is it a tool to wake people up? Because it's a pretty awesome fucking tool to wake people up, is to keep, shifting their reality around on them, right?
Like for me, I'm just trying to think back to when I was being picked on. I have no I almost don't have any memory of being picked on or the emotional attachment to when I was picked on. That's weird.
Well, there's been a couple of comments here in the chat. There's been a couple of people who've made some really interesting comments in the chat. And that's what I sat with over the last week. When I looked at my emotional response to certain memories, was it the memory of actually the emotion I had in the moment, or was it an emotion that I assigned to that memory?
Right.
Like I said, like a photo, right? Like a photo, where all of a sudden you sit there and you see a photo, and your mom tells you that photo. Oh, that was your Christmas when you were 5, and you just got that teddy bear, and you were so happy. It's described to you, right, or programmed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Even just from the thing, here's a picture of a family photo of a camping trip, and you're all looking like you're having a great time on the beach. It's a happy thing. Therefore, you assign it the emotion of, oh, I was happy.
Yeah.
Listen, Robert, here's the thing. I don't have any explanation for any of it. He just said, D, stop typing, everyone. How do you explain the reality I win in November? The one thing that we also kind of touched on today, too, in this conversation, it's as if we're shifting, and shifting a lot, and shifting fast, and continuously shifting through different areas. And there are times when you literally find yourself in a reality that is like way off different. And some people, I don't know if it's how do you say that? Some people seem to have the ability, or some kind of trigger, however you want to look at it, that they can end up in places that are completely off the beaten track. And we hear about it. We read stories about people who wake up from experiences and go, oh my God, I was just in a place that was like, oh. Is it an accident? Is it, like literally like some kind of a shift in the n-dimensional spaces between timelines or dimensions or parallel universes, and all of a sudden someone crosses through and it all gets real freaking weird? Is it something that some people just have an ability to do, even if it's an unconscious ability? I don't know. I don't have an answer on that one. But I know that a lot of people have gone through extremely strange experiences, and there's no explanation for it. There's no explanation unless you want to just say, oh, they're all crazy, which is not an explanation. I'm sorry. I don't buy that. Not even for a second do I buy that.
Hi, Jenny. How are you? Can we go?
Crystal, sorry, hold on, Tracy, give me 1 second. Crystal, exactly what I said. Crystal just said, I completely understand and resonate with what you're saying, Danny and Earl. It is like trying to recall who felt during the scenes of a movie, and that's exactly what I said. When I look back, it's like watching a movie where you have no personal attachment to the emotional. It can be a funny part of the movie, and you laugh, and you go, oh, that's a funny part of the movie. It can be a sad part of the movie, and you feel teary-eyed, and you may feel really sad for it. but it's like watching a movie. There's no emotional attachment to the actor. Yes, Tracy. Hello, love.
How are you, honey? Jolly good. Can we please, just for me, can we go back to Unfucking It 101, please?
I don't know if I taught that class. Did we? I don't know. Okay, define that for me, hon.
Right. What you've just said about memories and everything, for some reason, what's just popped into my head is when we have kind of like a deja vu and we think we have memories of past lives.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of thinking maybe these are all just kind of like different games, different things that have come together, but it's still us. So I'm kind of wondering what our collective view is, or whatever anybody's view is, on having those kind of past lives that we, when we go somewhere and we're like, shit, I've been here before, no, I know this, this seems so familiar, because I think that happens to us all. But I'm just kind of wondering what is, what's the point of view on that? Because I personally, I feel that we've had lots of different lives. I have no idea where. But we just get that little bit like in Matrix, and we're kind of like, no, I've seen this before. I've heard this before. I've been here before.
Well, I put through the hypothesis, I don't know, in the recent before, about what if what we always considered to be past lives,
Mm-hmm.
i.e. a linear history. Like, okay, so here, like I said, here I was a slave girl in ancient Egypt, and then I was a Roman centurion, and then I was a Spanish, I don't know, farmer. And it
Mm-hmm.
see it as a linear progresses of like you're born, you live, you die. You're born, you live, you die. Like, as in, or is it literally that it's all happening at once?
Mm-hmm.
As in, time is not linear. Therefore, what if all these are like like storylines, video games, if you will?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Realities, right? And like, oh, today I'm going to go to ancient Egypt. This sounds like a funky storyline. I'm going to go play that one.
Okay.
And you go through a life, and you go through all of this. In our minds, because we've been programmed, history is this way.
Yeah.
But if you took out the programming, here's the question. I've never had anyone be able to answer this for me. I actually asked this a couple of times to someone who I used to know many years ago who did past life regression. It's like, but how do you know when that took place? Like, which life came before the other life?
Mm.
And she said to me, well, we look at things like, obviously, she'll say to the person, like, well, can you describe what the people are wearing? Oh, well, they're wearing long dresses with high necklines, and they've got a hat. And oh, well, it must be the Victorian era.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one where they describe something. I said, so in other words, well, I'm looking at it now going, we have been programmed to view it as, okay, well, that was the Victorian era, so that
Definitely.
and this is the Egyptian time period, so that was obviously back here.
Yeah.
And it's more of a programming that tries to put it into place.
Sure. So we're quoting my heartthrob David Tennant, and it's wibbly wobbly timey wimey.
Wibbly wobbly tiny wing. Yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say you're wrong.
Wibbly wobbly timey wimey. Yeah. No, it's very. It's it's just kind of. I don't know which. It's almost kind of like I'm at a fork in the road, and I'm kind of like, right, do I believe that we've had, kind of like we've said, it's kind of like the rinse and repeat cycle. Do we keep on coming back? Do we keep on coming back? Or is it, as you say, that kind of, it's like a program, this is what we want to do. I'm very much at that fork of the road. And I just cannot keep my mouth shut. Not everything. I'm like, no, it's a simulation. No, it's a matrix. And it's almost as if that's what I would believe. from, you know, for like when I've been, you know, with the Unfocus group, you know, for like getting on for a year now. And to me, everything that we talk about with programming and simulation, it seems more credible to me. But, you know, as I say, there's just some, back to Unfucking It 101, it's very much where do you so for me, it's something like going back to the basics of, right, okay, so where does this idea come from? You know, it's, I guess I missed a few days in class, you know what I mean?
You know what? This is the whole thing. I actually had an interesting conversation with someone who was talking about Og Tellus. And Dawn, you were there at one point in the conversation as well. In the fact that certain people, and I think this is what Og does, a lot of it, is that he almost pulls in all this information.
Mm-hmm.
Pulls it. And it's like, where does it come from? Does it come from? Yeah, no one has enough hours in the day to watch everything on the internet that everyone has to say about everything. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work that way. Because the day's only about 10 hours long now. But we know that information comes in, which is why certain things happen across the planet all at the same time with completely disconnected people all coming up with the same idea at the same time.
Yep.
Inventions, because of Nick and all his work in free energy. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I said terrible. I said the F word. Oh, sorry. Alternative energy. You have people will come to a table and go, I'm working on this. And someone will go, holy shit, I'm working on this over here. And they're working on the exact same concepts. They haven't gotten them from anywhere. It's just come, like, their studies have led them to a place where all of a sudden they all arrive at the same spot at the exact same time with no explanation, and they can be people scattered all over the planet.
Yeah.
So there's something else there, whether we want to call it like a consciousness that's out there that that we're connected to, that we can bring in information, even if it's.
So is that kind of like the idea of, is that kind of like the idea, you know, of Close Encounters of the Third Kind? You know, they didn't know why they were doing the mashed potato and all of that.
Yep. You know, we just watched that movie again about a month and a half ago. I haven't seen it in 25 years. I just sat down and watched it again. Fuck, I love that movie. Yeah, exactly. We can't explain, and there have been scientific studies done on this. This isn't like, you know, extreme left field conspiracy theory. There have been scientific studies done that when breakthroughs happen, they tend to happen in groups where someone makes, even medical breakthroughs, and we've seen it, where someone makes a breakthrough on a specific piece, say reading a certain piece of the genome. But then it'll be like ping, 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 ping. Everyone's made the same breakthrough simultaneously, all working independently. Know that there's something to this. So for me, one thing that I go through, and I try to watch shit, and I try to listen to stuff, and I talk to people. That's for me the biggest thing, because I'm not really big. I can't sit still for 2 hours. You guys see me wiggle on my chair just for doing a 2-hour show. I wiggle continuously. So sit still and watch a movie is virtually impossible for me. I watch TV and like work out while I'm watching TV, because I can't actually sit still and do it. So I talk to people, and you bounce ideas off of people, and you say, hey, this happened. What do you think about this? Oh, well, you know what? This happened over here. And in that, we bring pieces together. And it does not by any way, shape, or form mean that we're right. I mean, that's the one thing. I have no answers. All I have is questions. We don't know what's right. And we can only go with the shit that makes sense to us. And like you, I've gone through a shitload of theories. And I keep coming back to the simulated matrix is the one thing that makes the most sense to me on a logical scale, but also on what feels like it makes sense.
For sure, yeah.
And that's the one that I keep coming back to. And I'll go off and I'll explore. Maybe 2 weeks from now, we're going to sit down, we'll have a show, and we'll discuss a completely different theory.
Mm.
Because God knows we have. We've had these shows where we go off and we examine all the different pieces. That's
Do
one
you
of the
know what
reasons why
would
I
be
wanted this
really
show.
funny?
What?
What would be so funny? You know, when we meet people and we're like, I know you, and you feel a connection. Wouldn't that be funny if that was the other person we were playing the game with?
I don't throw that away because listen, I meet people. I have met people, and the instant I meet them, I know them.
Uh-huh.
And I mean I know them in a much bigger sense. That happened to several people who were at the UU gathering here.
Mm-hmm.
The moment I met them,
Wow.
I knew them in like the way that you know a sister, the way that you know, even though you don't know them, you have those moments. I have when we were all in Morocco, we had so many people coming and going, massive amounts of people. There were certain people that I walked into, and from the very moment I saw them, it was like, ha, yeah, you and I, yeah, we know each other.
It's
and
so
we're still best friends like this to this day.
So
because
strange.
she's there.
So strange. And you know what? I have no idea why, but what I get so much on such a regular basis, people I meet who I have never met before, they say your face seems so familiar. I know you from somewhere, and I'm kind no, we haven't met before. But so many, your face is so familiar, and it kind of freaks me out. I'm like, I don't know you. Where do you know? And how you start to get paranoid. You're like, shit. What have I done? Where do they know me from?
What did I do this time? Did I black out somewhere? And
yeah, and it's lovely. That's why I love, about all the different theories that we have about things. But always lovely. But I will let you get on because I'm sure there's other people that have got things to ask. But as always, it's lovely to speak to you, my darling.
Thank you, darling. I love to speak with you too.
Take care, then, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Yes,
it might be time for fucked up history pretty soon.
Okay. So we're going to go into this because this is another piece. So Dawn threw out a piece. It was in the middle of the conversation. I can't get at how we got there. I have no fucking clue. No fucking clue. And she was talking about Israel and the history of Israel, and it taking place. What was perceived to be Israel actually took place in France. And this is the interesting thing that is coming out now. Hold on. Is Igor here?
Yes, I am here, but I'm sitting in the dark, so I'll keep the camera off if it's
okay. You sit in the dark then. Okay, so Igor is awesome in the fact he brings me all this stuff out of Russia, out of the Russian media, out of the Russian videos, Russian history, because this is something that until we had this tool called the internet, we had no ability, unless you spoke another language, to be able to read the history of these other places. Now, England and the States and Canada and Australia were all English-speaking languages, and they crisscross that history over, obviously. But when you get farther afield, we have interesting shit going on historically-wise. And Russia, I really honestly wish that we had someone who spoke Chinese, who was interested in pulling up some of the historical shit from China, because I have a feeling that as much as the shit that we're shaking out of Russia right now, China would be another one where we would have another huge rabbit hole open up. So one of the things Ihor had found out is that, and Ihor, maybe you can explain it a little better than I did, is that you were looking at pieces of accepted history, like accepted events, things that happened, and yet they don't match up. And how you can have multiple pieces of what is completely accepted history or events that supposedly took place, they contradict each other.
Well, the most prominent example in the alternative history and the whole realm of alternative knowledge, so to speak, is St. Petersburg.
Yeah,
because it's just completely outrageously unexplained. you get Swedish maps on which St. Petersburg, and St. Petersburg was founded in 1702 or something, yeah, the very beginning of 18th century, supposedly by Peter the Great, and etc., etc., and nothing was there officially before he founded it. And then you find supposedly authentic maps on which St. Petersburg exists there, a town with another name on that location exists there 50 years before the so-called founding by Peter the Great. And the St. Isaac's Cathedral there, the biggest temple or the biggest cathedral in St. Petersburg, I mean, it's huge. And there is no technology, it's mainstream knowledge. There is no technology to build those columns now with the equipment, construction equipment that we have at the moment available. And also Alexandrian column there in front of Winter Palace, the Tsar residence. It's just impossible to make that huge column. It's a one-piece granite column, and to manufacture it even today and make it so oscillatory, I think I'm using the right technical word, it actually has to be somewhat bent to look straight. That's what I mean. And so to calculate properly the angle of bending, you have to have computer-equipped manufacturing machines, which is it's impossible even now. And to make it of one, and supposedly they brought this piece of granite from 200 miles from Finland on boats. It's a joke, That's the official line, That's supposedly it was brought by boats, and so one piece. It's like hundreds and hundreds of tons or whatever. I mean, and there is no architectural, technical documentation on most of big buildings that are there in St. Petersburg. It's just the documentation does not exist. It's just does not exist. It's just some silly drawings, and even the drawings are very strange. So that's one piece. And also the war, the so-called 1812 Great Patriotic War, the war with Napoleon, it's...
the war that most of us have never fucking heard of?
Even, yeah. And the war Napoleonic wars were starting like early 18th century, and they lasted like for something like 20 years. And there were 3 Napoleons, as we kind of know. And Napoleon Bonaparte, you have basically like medals, for instance, where Tsar Alexander I, who was the Russian Tsar at the time, being friendly there with Napoleon, on a medal, and they kiss each other, and they hug, and it's like a medal made in 1812, when the war had already started. And there are monuments all over Russia with Napoleonic symbols, the Napoleon eagle, etc., etc. So it almost looks like, but the official history is Russia fought France, and yet there is material evidence that Russia and France, St. Petersburg, Russia and France were on one side fighting somebody else here on this territory. So were there 2 Russias? Was there Grand Tartary? Was there Moscow Russia and St. Petersburg Russia? And it's a recent history. It's relatively recent history, 1812.
Yeah.
And
not like ancient history. We're not talking about thousands of years ago. We're talking a couple hundred years ago.
Yeah, 250 or something, 260, and then so there is actually a lot of material evidence, and the maps, you name it, which present like 3 different versions of the same event, on the same territory. And the biggest mystery to me is Grand Tartary, the country which supposedly had a capital in Tobolsk, which is like far away eastern Siberia. And there was a capital called Tobolsk. This town still exists. Actually, my brother was born there. And And whatever was described later on as a peasant revolt was actually probably a war between Grand Tartary, and we're talking about 18th century here, was probably a war between Grand Tartary and St. Petersburg, Russia, and that's what the alternative view is all about now. And again, I mean, I cannot present the pictures of coins and emblems and maps at the moment, but I've seen this evidence and it looks credible. That's essentially, and also like anything to do with 1812 war between Russia and Napoleon, in which, by the way, it was Russian troops who burned Moscow. And they lost, yeah, yeah, and it's even mainstream history absolutely categorically states that it was the order of Russian Marshal Kutuzov to burn Moscow, so that Napoleon can come in and burn in Moscow. And French actually helped the Russian soldiers who were abandoned, and so documented, who were abandoned by Russian troops, wounded. The French were actually helping those Russian soldiers. So it's like something was going on, which is not which does not comply to the official story, you know.
But this is, and you and I have had over the last fucking 10 months, anyways. You and I have had multiple conversations where, so everyone like in the chat, so we're talking about history, right? So we know that at least 1,000 years in perceived linear history has been inserted.
Yeah.
Minimum, probably closer to 1,700 years in linear history has been literally inserted in there. The one thing, so that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about now is now seeing evidence of multiple histories.
Yes.
And they're also, there's evidence that supports them. Evidence that supports multiple histories that's pretty like really documented, well educated, well researched. It supports, and yet they can't have all happened. They cannot have happened at the same time because they contradict each other. So one of the pieces that I brought up today was the whole thing of Jesus, right? Because I've been through this because of of course my growing up in a fucking religious cult. I always keep my eye on a lot of the various religious research, right? And we have now seen, okay, I have seen documentaries that have been very, very well laid out with a lot of really good evidence that, you know, you have the whole thing of like the Middle East, you know, that the Jesus Hebrew scriptures took place down here in the Middle East. Then we've also seen very, very convincing stuff that looks like it actually took place in Turkey, going up into what would be close to the Ukraine. And in that area,
that's a very prominent view in Russia that it all took place in Turkey, and
and the evidence is pretty.
Because there is Christ's tomb in Istanbul, or in the
right.
Yeah.
Then we have some of the new stuff coming up that actually took place in France,
also,
and France, and up into Switzerland. Like that whole thing again. And there's a whole bit of where CERN plays into this whole fucking shit because it was on the French border to Switzerland where a certain event purportedly happened, biblical event. And the same thing I went through, and I didn't have a lot of time to research because it just came by my awareness maybe 2 weeks ago. But when you go in and look, like when the person's presenting this information, going, look, this all fucking took place in France. Here's the tomb of this person, the tomb of this person, the tomb of this person, the tomb of this person are all in fucking France. The tomb of Joseph of Arimathea is in fucking England. The tomb of, right, Mary, where did Mary Magdalene go? Oh, it's pretty much well accepted she went to France. So, and the evidence is pretty strong. And this is what I'm starting to see. Are we looking at basically a collapsing of timelines in that we're now in a reality, a simulation, a timeline where they've all collapsed down and they all exist simultaneously?
Danny, can I add to this point what you're right now saying? Like, for instance, with Grand Tartary, because I can see in chat people asking about Grand Tartary. In 17th century British Encyclopedia Britannica, in this timeline where we are now, you can open 17th century edition and read about Grand Tartary with a huge description of the local aristocracy and the emblem of the country. It's a proper country. It's not some area of Russian Empire. It's a proper different country. Yeah. And there is physical evidence in the current timeline. So how, and yet according to other, yeah,
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, neither did I until 5 years ago.
And you're fucking from there.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like, you're Ukrainian, Russian. It's one thing for me, the Canadian chick sitting over here picking her nose, fucking in English, to say. But I mean, when you're
Danny, it was not mentioned anywhere until 5 years ago. It's still not mentioned. It's still not recognized in official historiography. It's kind of semi-recognized, semi-officially at the moment that it did exist. And again, there is evidence in British sources.
Okay, exactly. So this is the thing. Now, going back to the Christ thing, because now, of course, everyone's going on about the Christ thing. There's also a shitload of evidence that Christ never existed. That it was made up. But then throw into that Mithras, Osiris. Are these various cycles that were just in this one cycle it was played out this way, and in this cycle it was played out this way, and this cycle it was played out this way. And we just keep seeing there's so many bits and pieces like this that are coming out. So we talk about, okay, you brought up what this arches. Now, remember I talked about the Arch of Baal, of course, which was being all displayed all over and recreated and all the rest of it out of Palmyra. And then I talked about go away, mosquito, about all the victory arches and the obelisks. Okay, and we have all these obelisks, and it's the same thing. We're led to believe that the one obelisk that's in the Vatican, that stands in the grounds of the Vatican, was taken from Egypt, in Egypt, not just like right up there on the coastline, but like and they built special barges that were called obelisk barges, that they somehow took down these massive obelisks without breaking them, loaded them on barges up the Nile, across the Mediterranean, and into Rome to be put up in St. Petersburg Square. He said, then you go, there's no fucking way. I have an easier time believing that the fucking pyramids were built, man-made pyramids, than I do believing that they were able to do this with what should be the historically acknowledged expertise level of technology of the time, right? So, I mean, this is the whole thing. But, like I said, if it's just a game, and I use that term loosely, if it's just a game, if it's a simulation where they just reset it up, kind of like Westworld, what did they do? Every night, they went in, the technicians went in, they reset the whole fucking set. And then they played it out. And then sometimes they twitch the storyline. And they go, okay, well, the bartender who was, this time the guy who was been, the bartender in the whorehouse, we're going to make him a bank robber. And all of a sudden, his role has been changed, click, and now he is the bank robber. And he's now not even in the same town. He's in another town, 2 towns over. This is the kind of shit that I'm talking about. When we're seeing history so fucked, and I mean now we're seeing history so fucked. Now we talked about like the whole information becoming known. Information, like I said, whether it is alternative energy, whether it's whatever it is, medical inventions, etc., what it all of a sudden multiple people get at the same time. Right now, we seem to have that on the thing about history. Why are all these people? How are all these people pulling out all this fucking shit, making it visible.
Like the 1896 stuff I brought up. You know, it's like, how can that be possible? Where that they had like film cameras back then, a suspended monorail in 1869. You know, it's like
But that's the thing, because if they just reset the stage, we know we've already seen now so many examples where some of us are seeing shit in technology that we know didn't fucking exist.
right.
In certain time periods, we just know it did not freaking exist. But now we're told it is. And that's what I found interesting about this guy who did this video that I watched yesterday about simulated reality. And he said, it's not timelines, it's not dimensions, which I don't necessarily agree. But he said, it's that they're literally reprogramming, putting new shit in, changing the storyline. Going in and just fucking changing the storyline. And if
But
it's just
there's a problem with this. There is one problem that I keep banging my head on. If there was this technology, right, earlier, then shouldn't our technology be more ahead? Like when I wake up, should I have an 8K TV instead of a 4K TV? That's my question. You know?
Yep. No, I agree. I mean, that's one thing. My example, I always say, look at the combustion engine. Fucking cars have not changed in 100 years. In reality, absolute reality, the technology that makes a car go forward has not changed in 100 years. Explain that to me. And we can talk about, with the oil barons and, they want to control and internal combustion and all that. But still, the technology does not make sense. It doesn't make fucking sense that we could have been that advanced back then and now have nothing. And it's like I said about our history, and I said this before, it's like we have massive holes in the history of, like, we look at it as far as eons, we're taught history as epochs. The empire. So you have the Greek Empire, you have the Roman Empire, you have the Spanish Empire, you have the British Empire, you have the Egyptian Empire, Babylonian, etc. But where's the prehistory of those places? Where is, so while we were talking about, ancient Babylon, what was going on over in Rome? What was going on over in Italy? Where's all the history? Malta is a prime fucking example of this. They have this megalithic history. The oldest temples on the fucking planet are purportedly all right here. The oldest temples that they know about. Now, again, talking to Francis Alosio when he was here during the gathering, and he says, like, they're off by a factor of 10. Like, it's not like that they're 4,000 years old. It's like they're 40,000 years old, right? But it's a Christian country. They're Catholic. They have to, fit it all into that Bible, But literally, there is no history here until St. Paul's shipwreck. The Apostle Paul was shipwrecked on Malta and brought Christianity to Malta, and there is no history before that for Malta. None. We know the Phoenicians took it over. We know the Phoenicians fucking took over everything at that point in time. But there's all this evidence that all these other epochs, other empires came to Malta, yet there is absolutely no history of Malta that fills in these blanks. Where did the Roman Empire grow out of? Right? These are the questions. And this is what I said. It feels more and more to me like there's storylines. Kind of like, is it SimCity? No, I'm not getting the right one. Where you can go in and you can do this quest, and you've got, okay, this is the Roman quest. And like this one is the Aztec quest, and this one is and it's as if they've had to somehow put it together in some kind of a linear fashion to make it represent a linear time frame. And they've strung them all together, going, okay, well, we'll drop this one here. And then after that, we'll say, okay, was that one came next, and then this one, and then this one. And yet, in reality, like I said, they're all fucking happened. They all happened at the same time. They were all just fucking virtual reality games that everyone went in and chose. Hey, I want to go be an Aztec. I want to go live in the Aztec life. Or I want to go be an Aborigine. Or I want to go be fucking in Genghis Khan living on yak milk and fucking somewhere running around the Gobi Desert.
Danny, can I add a couple of somewhat funny examples on the presence of the physical traces in current timeline? There is this book which was widely discussed here in Russia, which was published around 1912 and then published again in 1914. And it's a manual on how to use electricity, your electric equipment efficiently. So it's electrical efficiency, or whatever you call it. And the illustrations there are quite amazing. Actually, the whole discourse is quite advanced. It's like, you can see it's a society where electricity is used as a normal everyday thing, widely. So huge circulation of the book, etc. I don't have the name of the book right now, Tom, but I can send you the link. It's easy. It's easy to do. I'll send it in you tomorrow, and the video as well with the illustrations. But basically, there are what you call it, pieces of equipment present there, like a hairdryer, which supposedly was invented much later than 1914. I don't know, maybe you guys know when was a hairdryer invented, but this is 1914.
1914.
Yeah, but it's an ordinary, and this book physically exists. You can order it, in the library. And there is like a typical bedroom with a lady sitting there and a hairdryer and an electric wrinkle remover.
Like a curling iron? Like a straightening iron?
No, skin wrinkle remover, like a electric cosmetic device. And something like a floor washer, electric floor washer, and this is like, Russia was reasonably developed, in 1914 before the revolution, but still it's a bit out of place, and it's a physical book that exists, So.
But this is what I'm saying. It's like the reality. It's like there's bleed through coming now.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that. Perhaps that's what the Mandela effect is, bleed through of other simulations. I mean, because maybe this simulation of this epoch, this era, maybe it's being played out.
Mm-hmm.
For example, when people play World of Warcraft, they're not all on the same fucking world. They're in rooms. They're in groupings, right? And maybe there's 200 people playing at once in one, and there's 200 people playing over here. And so I don't know. This is just, the more I look at this, the more I just sit here and go, like, it is so fucked up. And like I said, everyone was talking. Someone made a joke saying that the next round they want to do it in Polynesia, and I was like, yeah, here, let's make Unfucker Island, make it Polynesia, and we'll all go do a round over there. And a bunch of people said, I'm not doing this again. Like, fuck no. And I'm like, yeah, I completely fucking agree. I don't want to do another round. No, I don't want to do another round.
What if it's just harvesting?
It's this waking up process. It's this, like I said, every single person in this room, I am pretty confident I can say to fucking every person in this room is going, this is not my fucking world. I did not know this reality. I have no interest in being in this reality. This is so alien to me. I do not belong here. Click my heels 3 times and say there's no place like home, right? That has to mean something. Because, so I wrote an article earlier today because someone brought up another big RV, global currency revaluation, Nasara, and it was like an update one that was all these gurus putting all their updates of how it's happening right now, again, for the 35,000th time. And we talked about savior memes. There's this savior meme, but people want to be saved. People just, you know, they're broke, they're sad, they're miserable family life, they hate their job, their children are monsters, and you just want to escape reality. That's not what we're fucking talking about. Because the people here who are talking about this feeling, it's not gee, I fucking hate my job. I just need to get out of here. I just want to go to a place that's warm, it's cool, it's green, it's beach. No, we're talking about that deep inner knowing. I don't fucking belong here. I don't know what this fucking is, but I don't fucking belong here. There's a huge intrinsic difference when you feel that in your gut. It's not deluding yourself. It's not that, you know, if only things could be better. Oh, I know grass is always greener on the other side. It's not that. It's that just deep knowing that whatever this is, it ain't fucking right. And for me, more and more, it ain't fucking real. It's not fucking real. I tell you, I don't know.
Danny, I wasn't sure whether I wanted to say this very briefly because it might be helpful and helpful for everyone, for someone who is listening as well. And I think I maybe told you about this. In 1988, in St. Petersburg, when I went to study in the university there, I remember entering a room in the halls of residence and something just completely transforming or leaving me. And just all of a sudden, it was very visceral, you know, and quite immediate, quite fast. Like something left me, like I became empty somehow. And ever since then, I was in absolute fear and very paranoid, constantly paranoid and constantly in fear for for probably at least a year until I started to rehabilitate myself somehow and getting used to it. And healing myself in a way. But for a long time, for like maybe 3 or 4 years, everything felt absolutely, nothing felt visceral, nothing felt real. It was like a film, you know? And so maybe this kind of things happen to all of us when we go through something, or maybe through realization that it's not real. Like maybe when we wake up to non-reality of this reality, then we start looking for something real.
Yeah.
We wake up to that fact. You know?
And this is kind of what I mean by what, like I said early on, I had mentioned the year 2010. And I meant that as just as an example, because there's been multiple people who've had multiple experiences. And I think everyone here is at one point in time, whether it was this year, last year, 10 years, or 50 years ago, have gone through moments in their life when shit is just definitely weird. Whether it's an experience that you went through, whether it's an energetic thing where all of a sudden you have this, what the hell is going on? And I love the faces. Star Walker, you're cracking me right up with that face. That was hysterical. And yeah, like I said on one of the shows just recently, I went through something like that in the summer of 83, 84. I think it would be about 1984, where literally I was just walking with my family, and I can tell you exactly where I was. We were camping. We were at a little town near the campsite. And all of a sudden I had this weird fucking feeling. And you kind of start watching everyone else, like, is anyone else acting all weird? Is anyone else feeling what the hell's going on? And at the time, I remember debating myself, do I tell my dad this? Because if I tell my dad this, he's going to insist that we have to go back home. Like that I'm sick and therefore I can't go get ice cream with everyone. So I'm not going to tell him because I want to go have ice cream. I don't want to have to go back to the camper. I want to go have my ice cream. So I'll just shut up, deal. And it lasted for about 15, 20 minutes. And like I said, I know that experience now because it's that woozy when everything goes fucking sideways and the whole universe fucking seems to tilt sideways and gravity all of a sudden doesn't quite feel like it's working and your mind almost kind of starts to feel like it's somewhere out here, not inside your head anymore. What happened? I don't know. Was that a convergence moment where, like, you know, maybe two of me somehow got slammed in together, or maybe part of me ended up somewhere else for a little while? No idea. But these events happen, and they, to me, they speak of a much bigger, not bigger, a much more meaningful symptom of things that we have gone through that, you know, you're programmed to go, oh, it was, you know, just forget about it. It was just a weird moment. You were just, you know, it was the chicken. You ate bad chicken that night. Anything, you make any excuse for anything that is irrational, anything you can't explain, you make up an excuse that explains it to your rational mind so that you just put it away and you go on with your life. Gypsy, don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. I had that moment myself when I joined the military.
Danny, I just have one question about bringing my my plate back to the kitchen. What happens when we wake up? Like,
I don't have any answers.
No, because I'm just thinking in my mind, like, are we going to be in this hazy kind of feeling for a while? You know, like, what's reality, what's real, what's up, what's down? I mean, because I get feeling I might be like that when I wake up. I'm like, okay, how do I know this is real?
My gut feeling is that if you were awake, if you've had a dream, you've been a dream, and that dream, and we've all had them, where you have a dream that feels so real, it's like epic, and you can smell the smells, you can hear, it's so real. When you wake up, what do you feel? You may have a moment of like, what room am I in? Am I in my room? I'm in my room. Wait, what time of day? Is it morning? Oh no, I just had an afternoon nap. Okay, cool. And then you sit up and you're awake. So when I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, you know, to wake people up too fast would be too shocking to them. It would be too shock. But I don't know if I buy into that theory, because I think that if we intrinsically know, regardless of the scenario, we are in totally voluntary in a virtual reality, and we volunteered to do this as an experiment because we're really, really broke university students, and God knows they'll volunteer for just about anything, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why we all feel young. Whether we, you know, it was an experience that we were in that then got taken over, because of course that's one of the other big theories too, is that while we went into it voluntarily, we got trapped in here, and for whatever reason, regardless, if you're going to wake up, which says to me that you wake up to that original state you were in before you went into this, then you're going to know. You're going to know what you did, why you did it, how it was done, and how it played out. And you may have questions. You may go, holy shit, how long was I in for? Or you know, like, what happened? You know, we got stuck in there. Holy shit! But you know, we're out now. I don't know. That's just my take on it.
Root looks like he's doing that and he's having a good dream.
Yeah, he's in Showtime sleeping chair. Yeah, I honestly, I think that if it comes down to all of a sudden, you know, we snap out of it, we wake up fully, we, however you guys want to, whatever descriptive terminology you want to use, I think you wake up, you just wake up. That's just my take. Like I said, that's just my gut on that one. Stacey, have you tried opening the chat, or is the chat just not opening? Yeah, and you can wake up from a dream inside a dream too. I totally agree. This is, we don't know. We don't know. We don't fucking know. We just have thoughts and theories and ideas, and that's what this is all about, getting everyone together, just throw them all out there. Oh, Renee, you've got your hand up. I didn't see it up there before. Hun, did you want to say something?
Yeah, you were talking earlier about potentially bringing our whole, for lack of a better term, essence or whatever, our wholeness here, right, in this physicality.
Yeah.
Because we want to, in my humble opinion, it's about experiencing in this physicality. We have no idea what we came from or anything like that, but for years and years and years, I have always had the knowing that in this physical body, I would be able to do what Jesus Christ did in the Bible. Walk through walls, fly, do whatever. And are we getting to the point where we can start to experience, if we're energy and we were able to do those things energetically out there, but now we want to experience that kind of thing in the physical? Is it part of a joining of that to continue our experience?
Listen, I've not, that's a freaking awesome question. Because I've been the same way. It's like you intrinsically know that you should be able to do shit. Right. And literally, I had a conversation. My kids, the topics of conversation in my house are crazy sometimes. And one of them was like laying on the couch and going, "Okay, bring me that drink." And they were doing the force thing. And I'm watching. Right, exactly. And it's like it's determined concentration. It's not just like I'm going to pretend I'm in a movie and go, "Yeah, I'm doing my force thing. Look at me." No, it was like determination. Like I know I can just make it come to my hand. Yeah, because there's this thing inside us that we kind of feel like we know we should be able to do this. I mean, honestly, here you go. I'll admit this one to you, all you guys. This is one of the pieces of. Granted, I don't like dentists. And we've talked about on shows, my teeth are fucking rotting out of my head. But one of the reasons I don't go is because I know in my head I should be able to fix it myself. I should be able to fix it myself. There's no reason I should have to go get this fixed by some guy in using archaic fucking drills and fucking shit. I should be able to just fix this myself. And it's a sticking point because every time something starts to flare up, like a little bump on my gum back here where one of my broken teeth is right now, and I'm like, "Oh, you're going to be a jerk ass again." Fuck. Nope. I'm just, put some oil on it and all the rest of it. And I can't make myself go to that dentist. And it has nothing to do with the fear. It has to do with the fact of like, fuck. I know I can do this. I know I should be able to do this. Things like flying. How many of us have had flying dreams? And people toss that off and say, "Oh, well, the meaning of flying dream is like this, this, and this, and this." No, there's a part, and literally in conscious dreaming, like when you do when you consciously take control of your dreams. And because I have issues with heights. I do have issues with heights, which, oh, by the way, randomly appeared in the late 80s. I have never been afraid of heights in my entire life. I have been skydiving. I used to go rappelling. I climbed to the top of the highest tree I can find. Suddenly, in the late 90s. Suddenly in the late 90s, I have a insane fear of heights. Like I get the extreme vertigo, gonna puke, pass out when I get up high and look over a balcony. Like, freak me out. Just appeared out of the blue for no apparent reason. So you have those things with dreams where you feel like you fall. You feel like you're falling, and all I do is just look back and fly, and I'm flying. And it happens at least once a week. At least once a week, I have some kind of a dream or a lucid awareness of something going on, and the flying is now intrinsic. It's just like, yeah, okay, well, I'm just going to fly over there. No, Jack. Well, because that was before my eldest daughter was born, but after my eldest son was born, that came up to the
Danny, can you hear me?
Hey, Teresa.
Hey, I'm tripping out right now because that's why I had to say this. I was just talking to a friend of mine. I said, have you, because he's like, we're getting these blissful feelings. We've all talked about that, but am I sounding okay?
Yeah, I can hear you, love.
Okay. I asked him just like a couple hours ago, I said, when you get these blissful feelings, and I have vertigo, I am the kind of person that, like when I was in Seattle and we were on the bridges and stuff, I had to put my hand on something or I had to sit down. But I'm getting that like knowing you can fly feeling, which is really weird. I mean, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. And we were just talking about it today. It kind of goes along with that same kind of euphoric feeling, and it kind of happens with it. So I think it's so trippy that you're talking about it. I just wanted to say that. That's all. I wish we were just talking about it today. So I love it when everyone's sharing the same thing.
Synchronicity. It's synchronicity when we have when the collective has these conversations together and they have these thoughts together. They happen in little pockets, and yet then they all come together, and you all go, "I was just talking about that."
When you were saying about your flight fear and your whatever, and I was like, oh God, I got to say this because just today. So yeah, I just wanted to tell you it's awesome.
Well,
Bye.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, sweetie.
So this is the thing. When you have all sorts of people who all feel it inside, that there's so much more that we should be able to do, that we're somehow limited. Somehow, whether it's limited by the water bag that we're wearing, or limited by programming that's in our heads, if we fucking even have a head, because I don't know, maybe I'm just a hologram. There's this feeling. We know there's more. We know there's, and again, it's not that grass is always greener on the other side. Everyone wants to be Superman when they're a little kid. That's not it. Because it's an inner knowing. It's like an intrinsic piece where you're a figment of my imagination, Gypsy. Absolutely. There's an intrinsic piece there that we know this shit. It's the same thing with healing ourselves. It's the same thing with so many things that we intrinsically know there's a better way to do these things. We certain things just so yeah, I mean, this is it. I don't know, where does it go? What does it mean? I don't know. Yeah, we talked about it when everyone was here in Gozo. Merce, yes, absolutely. Yeah, well, that's just it, Jackie. They train us out of knowing it by saying man creates these fantasies out of a fear of death. Okay, great. I mean, they've got a psychologist who can fucking define everything for us, and it always comes down to it's our fault. We have a psychosis. Not saying that I don't have a psychosis. I'm just saying they use it a lot as an excuse. Yeah, I'm not afraid of death, Maria. Okay, there's an example. I have never been afraid of death. Never in my life. Even as a child, I never had a fear of death. I almost drowned when I was about 14. We were out camping the same campground. I don't know, I think about it may have actually even been the same summer. I have to think about that. And it's an area called, it's off of Lake Huron. And it has notorious tides and has notorious undertows. And every day when you went to the beach, the older kids, and I was like one of the older kids, you'd go out and you'd walk it out, because you could go in one day and you could walk 200 meters out and never get to the water deeper than your mid thigh. And 2 days later, if there'd been a bit of a waves or a wind, you'd walk out, and 10 feet in, you'd be up to your neck. And the sandbars were just like this. So I got caught, and my sister was swimming ahead of me. And I looked up and I saw her disappear, and I knew immediately she'd stepped off the other side of the sandbar where we were like, just barely knee deep. And suddenly she was off the other side of a sandbar, and she was in bad water, and she wasn't a very strong swimmer. And I went in to get her, and it was deep, deep, deep. And I managed to get her from the bottom of the lake and get her on top of me and push her up to the surface. And I can remember pushing her up to the surface of the water to get her head out. And I knew that my dad was coming, and that if I could just get her to the surface where someone out there could see her, someone could grab her. And my dad grabbed her and hauled her off. And at that point, I was done. I was exhausted. I like every last bit of oxygen, energy I had, I used up. And it was blissful. It was so peaceful. It was like I knew I was going to drown. I knew that was the moment. And I had no fucking fear. I wasn't afraid of it. It was an incredible experience. And the next thing I knew, someone reached and grabbed me by my ponytail and hauled me out of the water. So it never happened. But how many here really have a fear of death? Because I honestly think that is one of the main pieces of programming. That's one of the first pieces that breaks it. Once you start to break through the programming, one of the very first pieces you lose is that fear of death. Seriously, Chris? Okay, that's funny. Yeah, fear of death is used to keep us in the cycle. I agree, Anne. I agree, and that's the whole religious thing, right? Even in Eastern religions, there's still that, you don't want to be reincarnated as a cockroach. You don't want to be reincarnated and have to come back and redo that whole cycle all over again because you didn't achieve a certain level of enlightenment. That's all the religious programming. All the religious programming over death, as I think is exactly what Anne said. It's just part of the cycle where they just swing you right back through the cycle.
Danny, can I ask a question? Because I know that we're globally that I'm sorry, it's Teresa again.
Okay, sweetie.
I was talking to Sheila earlier today. Her electricity was out for many hours. She's in a town that's about 30 miles away from another girl that I was talking to who had no electricity a couple of days earlier for several hours, who was about an hour away from another girl I know that had, and this is not storms or anything else. My question is, and I said to Sheila, I wonder if it's happening globally. And I thought, you know what? I forgot about the show today, but I just want to ask, is that going on around the world? I mean, I'm talking in an hour and a half radius, I'm hearing it. So I'm just curious if, I know it's a little off topic, but it's an energetic thing, I think.
No, it's a good question because I'll bring, so I got something else because we can talk about that kind of in the same vein. So has anyone else experienced power outages, whether it's like 15 minutes or 15 hours, doesn't matter. Okay, so Carl, you guys were out of power the other night for about 3 hours. Today for Stacy. Yes, Linda. Yes, Rosanna. Okay, tell me just the place where you guys are.
We're in North Carolina, but I knew this would happen. That's why I wanted to ask, because I was like, listen, telephone, cars, automobiles, everyone's having issues with everything right now, and electronic, and I have a feeling that is also happening. It's not just the electricity in your house, it's other stuff. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay,
wow.
You see the Perth, Northeast Toronto. Okay, we're talking Saskatoon. We've seen Florida. San Diego was out today. Naples, for a short while. Tennessee, Asheville. I mean, yeah. So here we think. Okay. It was funny on Sunday because I canceled the Transpicuous View show. And I was already sitting on the fence because I was having an exhausting day. I was really, really exhausted. Yeah, the CME that just happened, everyone trying to blow it up. It was a massive CME. It wasn't Earth facing. Nowhere near us. It was going in a complete opposite direction from Earth, right? It didn't touch us, nothing about it. Okay. And it was used for lots more fear porn by the mainstream media. Oh, we're going to have another Carrington event, which I'm not entirely sold on either. I would just like to say the historical on that is highly questionable. I just sidetracked myself. Damn it, I hate when I do that. Okay, so on Sunday, I was already having a bit of a day, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to even do the show tonight because I'm just so tired and mentally tired. You know, when you're like, I don't know if I can actually pull it together to even sit and talk on camera, like really. And around 4 o'clock, I went to go do something on the computer. I went to go send someone the link to our new Gaia's Garden website. And it comes up, 500 error, this domain does not exist. And I went, what the fuck is happening? So it was like, what do I do in situations where panic is called for? I call John Carl. Because he's my do not panic, we can fix this person. And I know he's getting ready for doing the Essentio Mentium show with Carl from Canada. So I'm like, okay, well, he'll be around. I know he'll be up. I've just got to go in and I'll just go find out because I sent him a message on Zoom. And I was like, okay, well, I'll just go into Discord because he's probably on Discord right now. I go to Discord, open it up. We have no idea who the fuck you are. You need to enter your username and your password. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? How can you know? It's my fucking Discord. It's fucking the RTS Discord. Right? And it wouldn't take my password, wouldn't take my email, wouldn't let me sign in. Then it said, okay, finally, have you forgotten your password? Oh, that was it. No, you need to register. So I was like, fuck it. Okay, I'll just fucking register again. So we've sent you an email. You have to sign in. Like, click the email auto-responder type thing. The email never arrived. So I went to like my email feeder. It wouldn't, and I had them send. I must have clicked to resend it like 4 times. Then I finally went and actually opened my email account, not just my email program. Nothing. Not in the spam. Nowhere. I could not get in. So I'm like, finally get in as I like go in, close it down, reopen it again, go in as a guest and type like, help, can somebody help me? Somebody find me John Carl and tell him I'm like stranded in no man's land somewhere out here. I can't get in. It was one thing after another thing. And it's like someone said to me, oh, it's not your new computer that's broken. I was like, no, the computer is fine, but everything else is failing. And I've had this, I mean, it's gotten worse and worse and worse. When we've all talked about Facebook is fucking falling apart. I went to open up SolarHam the other day. It wouldn't open. I went to open up another thing. Servers are down all over the fucking place. It's like not a day goes by that I don't go into a website and there's a server down. This didn't happen 5 years ago. 5 years ago, you didn't have every single day there being some server crashed out somewhere. It's getting worse and worse. And it's like phones are resetting. And technology is breaking out of the blue. So this is the whole thing. Like there's been stuff going on. And that, for me, is one of the things it's like, well, is that the breakdown of the matrix? If all this technology stuff is part of the programming within that matrix, we're seeing reality break down in front of our eyes. Is that what we're seeing with the technology? Is it literally starting to just fall apart? Like the codes are just kind of falling to pieces and there's some poor guy over there randomly running around in the IT department trying to keep everything back up online. Get it back up, get it back up, get it back up. I mean, the whole thing of the banks going down, there could be alternative reasons for that. And I've talked about this for ages. Yeah, it could be that there's money problems in the system, et cetera, et cetera. Same thing with the airlines going down. I've hypothesized this because they don't have money on their credit card to fill up their gas tanks. But when we see it, and in the last year, it has been endless. Not a day goes by that someone isn't talking about another outage, another mess, technologically wise. And I think a lot of it is getting blamed on hackers. I think a lot of the technology failures, they've created this excuse called, oh, hackers did it, or Russia, but hackers did it, or Russian hackers. And we had a problem with technology. All the systems for Comcast went down. Oh, it was hackers. We had a problem with the healthcare system in the UK and the NIH, NHI, whatever you call it, National Health and whatever went down. Oh, it's hackers. And I think they honestly have, the hacker meme has been fed deliberately out there as an excuse to blame everything on. So anytime anything goes down, you can just say, oh, it was hackers. There was a massive firewall attack, and it was a DDoS attack, and it came through, and that's what it was. But I honestly think it's just literally technology falling apart. And things like cars, everyone I know is their cars are falling apart for stupid things, like all of a sudden you have parts go out, parts that have never been a problem before in the car. All of a sudden, windshield wipers are falling off. That happened to a friend of mine. Turned on the windshield wiper, literally went flying. Just phew. Yeah. They blame it on the Ruski hacker backer attacker. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Well, this is it. But technology. So Stephanie, you did burner on the stove, thermostat on the air conditioning. I've people talking about radios, televisions, air conditioning units. And I don't just mean the air conditioner like all of a sudden it's overused. It goes, just things just breaking apart. Rosanna, seriously? That would be a sad, sad thing for my house. Three-quarters of the laundry machines were not working at the laundromat? Holy shit. Oh, okay. Speaking of, okay, and we brought this up, totally different subject, but it was one of those things where you see the geniusness of humanity sometimes when people, sometimes you just got to come up with a solution. And it was, the problem that we're hearing about all over the place, where if you don't pay your utilities, they just come into your box and turn off your power, right? Or turn off your gas or whatever. Some inventive person has invented a fake beehive that fits right over your power box on the outside of your house. So it looks like it's all over the bottom of the box and down where the big power wires are. And this thing looks absolutely perfectly like a beehive. It says, guaranteed, no city workers ever going to come turn off your power if they see that beehive on there. And it was selling them for like something ridiculous. I can't remember what it was, like $15 or something. I'm like, paper mache? I could do that. I could do that. That's fucking, someone beat the system. I love it. You're going to beat the system? That's okay. They can spray with the poison all they want, as long as you keep them at bay. Grow raspberries by your power box. Nice. Nice. Big ass bougainvillea. Grow like a 20-foot tall bougainvillea bush all the way around the power box so they can't get to it. Yeah. So anyways, that was just a little aside. I just thought that was really cool. So anyone else got some thoughts about our topics of conversation for tonight? feel free to tell me I'm way out in left field and smoking crack or something. I don't know. Pour cement over the water meter. Yeah, well.
Danny, lots of questions, but any chance anybody's got any ideas about where to go for how to unfuck it all? I know John and I are trying. Where else can we go?
Sorry, say that all over again.
Did I break up?
It did. Just I got where we can go and then unfuck it all, and I'm like, wait, I've missed a word in there or two. You're gonna have to say that sentence.
I think it's the IT stuff that's showing itself again. What I said, Danny, was we've got lots of questions. Obviously, lots of stuff that everybody's talking about really what's going on. But do we have any suggestions about how we can unfuck it all? And I was saying, John and I are trying to do our best with our little show. And does anybody else have any other suggestions about what we can do and where we can go? And don't mention Heather.
I'm not talking about that comment.
No, I didn't mean you.
I don't care, guys. You can ask all those fucking questions you want. I am not talking about it. Sam, in some ways, I think you're right. We just keep doing what we're doing. For me, like I said, community. Building community, and I just can't stress that enough. The other thing is, and this I'm going to say something here, and it could be deemed to be highly unpopular thing to say, but we're in the now moment right now, and I'm seeing a lot of people who are doing this. They're looking that way into the future, as in,
Save me, save me.
save me, but not just save me, but they're ignoring the now, not doing anything in the now.
Because they're chasing the future. Sorry.
They're chasing the future. Exactly. They're chasing this future idea, ideology, etc. But in doing so, with all this focus being on what could happen next month, next year, here's another date to talk about, right? What are you doing in the now? That for me was a big point. And that's one of the reasons why I also didn't do the show on Sunday. Besides the failure of technology and how exhausted I was, I'm hardcore trying to pull stuff together to do stuff to look after my family. I've got to make money. I've got to make an income. I've got to create something for this now moment. Very funny, Robert. But I'm seeing a lot of people who are not doing anything. And I don't mean in the go get a job, make money, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, what plans are you doing in the now to take you forward? Or are people just sitting and waiting? Because I feel like there's a lot of sitting and waiting right now.
I'm
People
stuck.
are waiting.
I'm stuck, Danny. And I don't mean like stuck where I'm shackled. Just stuck, not knowing. You know, not having that internal leading, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, whoa. Do I go east? Do I go west? Do I go up? Do I go down?
Okay, but here's the thing. Not looking at where are you going to go, future, but the right now. Are you doing something right now that makes you happy?
This. Just always researching.
And fucking awesome. That's what I mean. It seems that there's a lot of people who are not doing something in the now that just is for the now. That is just like, okay, I want to do something. I need to be happy. Nick has an expression, and it's become, the kids roll their eyes now when we say it. But the only one responsible for your own happiness is you. You are responsible for your own happiness. So I see a lot of people who are really so focused on the future and even on the bigger questions. Do you know, like, because we all have these massively huge fucking questions of where are we, what the fuck are we doing, and how the fuck did we get here? That it becomes an all-encompassing thing is that you don't take the pleasure in the now. Even if it's just like, I always talk about things like building a garden or taking walks or painting a picture or doing something that actually makes you happy. Maria, that's really fucking funny. Okay, Carl, everyone is also worried about how not to upset everyone else in their life, that is even causing them to be unhappy. And that's what I said last week. That's all becoming very, very in people's faces. And we have to stop living for all these other, I'm sorry, but we have to stop living and treading on broken glass, not to hurt people's feelings or not stand up for ourselves. Sometimes you just got to fucking say, I'm just me. You know what? I'm just fucking me. And I'm going to do what I got to fucking do that makes me happy. Because for me, I know the only way I can make the rest of my family happy is to be happy. When I'm happy, the rest kind of takes care of itself in a lot of ways. Today, fucking turned off the computer at like 1 o'clock this afternoon, went, set up all my stuff, and made a bunch of new products. Totally made me happy. Totally made me happy. I have to revamp them because once I got them all put together, I was like, you know what? I don't like the mixture. So I'm going to start all over again. But it doesn't matter. I'm happy when I have that moment and I can just be in my element where I'm mixing stuff together and I'm working from my instincts and I'm pulling stuff out that I need to do. And that makes me happy. And I see a lot of people seem to are putting off being happy, putting off doing something that makes them happy because they're looking over here. And I'm, like I said, people, you can throw rotten fruit at me if you want. There's this whole thing about home right now. Well, I just want to go home. I just want to go home. But the problem is, so much focus is being put on that out there, something that's unknown, that there's no focus on this now and being in this now. And yeah, Pamela, being in the now, and just there's got to be a balance in these things, and people need to be happy, but we're responsible for making ourselves happy. We're responsible for our own happiness. And if you're not going to get up and do something to make yourself happy, then you're also responsible for your own unhappiness.
It's like being in the flow. You know what I mean? Where you're in your own space. You know, like you're working on a project or something, but it's your project. And yep. And you get in that flow. And even if you screw it up and you just spent 10 hours and lost all your data or whatever the heck happened, you know, and you get all flustered and pissed and whatever, once you get back into the flow again, and you always do, because if you're doing what you truly are led to do or your heart longs to do, you find that flow. That's all I'm saying. And that's what I would call happiness. Being in a flow that's satisfying.
Yep. No, I completely agree. And it's just, that's one of the things for me is I see, what can we do? That was the question, Carl brought up. What can we do to unfuck it? Unfucking it starts at home. How's about that? Look at it really, really simple. Unfucking it starts at home. It starts with ourselves.
Yep.
If you're sad and miserable, change it. However that has to be. Because if you're sad and miserable, it's time to change it then. If your existence is miserable, if you're not doing something that makes you happy, then change it. And I think maybe we need to, I don't know, maybe that's part of it.
And if you are miserable at home, maybe you're not really at home.
Maybe you're in the wrong place. Maybe you're just in the wrong place, which is kind of funny because we had that kind of conversation today too about how, for me, I've just kind of come to this real awareness in the last 2 weeks of like, this is the place I'm supposed to be. And I'm going to set up roots now, to the point of like, this house, I've been treating it since we moved in as a temporary thing. And then you don't realize that when you go through this whole thing of like, this is just temporary, you don't settle. You don't allow yourself to make it your home, to do what you want, to be comfortable, because you have this continuous attitude of like, oh, well, we're just going to end up moving again or whatever. And that really hit me this week. And it was just like, wow, you know what? For all the flaws in this place, we love this place. It's a great place. And you know what? I am going to make it my home. And we're going to be here for at least a year or two. So you know what? Time to move some furniture around. Put the furniture where I want it to be, not where the landlord put it. Take some of the boxes that are still fucking sitting right behind that wall you can't see, and put them away somewhere. Unpack them. Put them away. Put them in a closet. Whatever it has to do. And all of a sudden, there's a weight lifted off me. Quite literally, there was this weight lifted off of me like, yeah, I can actually do this. And now I can actually work on putting stuff together. Putting stuff together for me, for my family, stuff that makes us happy. And that takes a huge weight off. It really, really does. And I think that's got to be one of the first things that people need to look at when we talk about unfucking it, is we need to start at home and unfuck ourselves first. Like,
sorry.
Just work on ourselves.
I was going to say, Danny.
We're the unfuckers.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Danny, that is exactly what I am going through. I cannot believe the words that just came out of your mouth. Honest to God, I've been here for like 3.5 years. And almost the entire time, well, since my son passed, I have been telling myself, don't get too comfortable here. This is temporary. So my garage, to this day, my garage, and I did more packing last summer, telling myself, you know what, it's time to move on. It's time to move. But again, like I said, there's that feeling of, I don't know what to do anyway. So I decided, you know what, screw it. I planted a garden on the landlord's property, right? But turns out he loved it because I did a good job, but yeah, and just trying to be okay where you're at in whatever space that you have right now. And I agree with you. I think you should decorate the shit out of the house and make memories right there while you're there. You know what? It's important. These are times that you won't be able to take back. So
memory is, like, as we've said, memory is kind of fucked up nowadays.
That's right. So make it real.
Yeah. And I don't know. To me, I talk about community. This is my community here. Right here, you guys are my community. And we get together, and if once or twice a week we get together and we can talk and we hash it out stuff and we throw ideas off each other or whatever, or I ramble aimlessly for fucking an hour, whatever, however it plays out. That's part of what we do to unfuck it. Because that's our support network. That's our community. That's the people we can reach out to and know that we can reach out to them. And know that they're there for us and that they understand the fucking shit that we're going through. So that's part of unfucking it. Unfucking it is bringing knowledge together and sharing our experiences. And then maybe sharing it out through, through other networks. Like, it kind of just goes through and you filter it through.
And that's also why RTS is so important right now. It needs some bigger bumps. You know what I mean? And I mean bumps like up. We need people going there. We just do. Because you know what? You're talking about community, and that's why you did that, Danny. And we need to be utilizing it and taking advantage of it and making it happen. And that is our home. So if we're going to start at home, let's start there. I say we meet at the house, RTS.
I love Mad Tom is all over RTS. He just goes like continuously. He's posting news articles and all kinds of stuff. And I have to admit, I have been very kind of missing in action for most of the week because I've been really fucking hardcore working on business stuff on this side. And it means doing graphics work. It means like designing a website. It means like insanity of dealing with government agencies that I fucking hate. So I have not been around. I have fallen down on that one as well. I just really have not been around, not even on Facebook, not on RTS.EARTH. I just, something's got to give. Sometimes you just got to put the time in where you can.
Well, that's you still made it for us, and we should be over there. So, and I know we're all slowly getting there. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
Okay, enough.
But you know what? I don't want to see it just kind of slowly fade.
Yeah, and we've got stuff that we want to do on it. And like I said, when I get through getting my shit organized that I'm trying to do over here to look after my family, then there's stuff that I want to move into to make sure that I'm working on over there. We've changed some ideas of like how we're going to put together the RTS shopping mall. So if you notice now, the unshopping mall is gone. Well, it's still there, but you guys can't reach it because I've taken it out of the menu. The Unfuckers page is empty because I've got ideas and we've got things. Maybe I'm going to rebuild something and put something in there. So that right now is empty as well. Revamping, kind of reformulating how to bring stuff together. So, yeah, it is what it is. Everything is mutable. Everything is mutable right now. That's the other thing I was going to say. Just because you're focusing on the now, I even like the idea of like what I was saying about setting down some roots and deciding to, okay, I'm here. Now I'm going to work here. That doesn't mean it's been stone. And it doesn't mean it's like set in freaking concrete and it has to hold you there next week. Because next week could show up and something new can totally spin around. And guess what? Now it's time to move or
Danny,
do whatever's next. Yeah, Teresa.
Well, I just wanted to add to that because, I think what's happening probably even within you and a lot of people is when we find our homes within ourselves, and I've kind of been doing this for a couple of years now, no matter where I end up, I start like feeling as if it's my home. Like you just said, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, the next day, or things come up, whatever, when you're kind of transient like me, especially now, just going through divorce, a year ago, whatever. But when you find your home inside, it doesn't matter where you're at. You start putting in tomato plants or your roots, and then next month you might be, for me, I've really, really gotten that because, right now I'm waiting for a special place to open up that, I'm kind of on a list for. So getting that inside of you, you just hit the nail on the head. No matter where you're at, you put your roots in, but you're also flexible. It's like being settled inside completely with all the mosquitoes and everything,
Oh, you got me. You freaking got me on my shoulder. I just got him, but now there's another one flying around my head. Bastard.
Well, put them essential oils on. But yeah, I just wanted to add to that.
In the kitchen.
Because it's such an important thing, really. And then that helps us help one another because our hearts are more open, and we're unifying that way. And so that site that you created, it's just awaiting. It's going to flourish. It's just everyone's kind of coming into their own. I could feel that energetically. I just wanted to mention it.
Well, thank you, sweetheart. And it's so nice that I now know who you are. I don't know if you guys were on Fuckers today, but Jane and I had this realization that we actually know each other, have done for a while, but we knew each other by different, like you have your acronym name, like your what's that when you have like a nickname, like when you're on chat boards and you have a name that's not yours. It's like just your name, that your username type thing. Alias. Thank you. That's the word. Alias. Yeah, and we just had this like sudden like thing, and Patrick was another one. I think Patrick's here as well. I was like, you wrote that blog? I fucking know that site. I know who you are, and fuck, that's hysterical. So yeah, Jane and I are talking about all kinds of shit, and all of a sudden she mentioned her old blog, and I went, oh, for fuck's sake, you're that Jane. Holy shit, I can't believe I didn't put that together. That was one of those moments of like that.
Fun. Oh man, made my day, Danny. It totally made my day.
Much of a giggle. Sorry, but that was literally because JJ. I know JJ. He's
Great
like,
friend of mine.
I love him.
Yeah, we've been friends for at least 10 years now.
And he told me all about like all the shit that you went through in the White Hats report. He told me about all the shit that went down. So I'm like, yeah, that's just too funny.
Yeah. I was talking to some pretty amazing people, but we're not going to go there right now. But yeah, that thread today was fun.
Yeah, that was funny. How's your face, by the way?
Oh my God, I look pitiful. It's now spread to my mouth. Yep.
Maybe you should. You have a camera, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe tomorrow you should give me a call and come on camera so I can look at it.
Yeah. Actually, the lady I work for, she's got a naturopath doctor, and she texted her. Yep. She texted her this morning, so she'll be texting me back, I'm sure, this evening or tomorrow morning. But yeah, I'm doing everything I can do, and I've got everything, as you know. Yep.
Okay. Good. Just making sure.
Thank you for asking, honey.
You're welcome, sweetie. So any other ideas of how we unfuck it, guys? And if anyone brings up fucking money or fucking bank accounts, I'm just going to hit the disconnect button.
A big giant jackhammer.
Danny, can I come in?
Of course you can, Hunt.
Very briefly, I don't want to preach to a choir here, but I personally find whatever the turbulations are and whatever uncertainties are, whatever what keeps me stable and sane is love, and I know we all know that, but sometimes I suppose we maybe we forget or something, but it's a
reminder.
Yeah, and love answers all the questions, and brings and expands, and it brings practical solutions as well on every step you go,
Yep.
And that's all I wanted to say, really.
Yeah, but you know what? This is it. But this is what this is about. That's what this is all about. This is the right way. Is bring people together, because that's love, and that's the thing. I've said it before, and you guys don't realize it, but I love you guys, and I mean, I seriously love everyone who's in the Unfuckers. Some people might annoy the fuck out of me occasionally, but I still genuinely love our group, and every single person in it, and that love is part of what brings us together, and it does make us stronger if we can just remember that. If we can just remember that. Because, I mean, hey, we all have our moments where we forget it. And we all have our moments when we fly off the handle and maybe we get pissed off at someone's opinion, or you get angry because you don't like the tone of someone's voice, even though you can't see their voice. We all have those moments. But in the end run, if we all remember that it's all about just that we're one big family, and even families fight, we're all just one big family.
And it's probably one only true reality. That's what I also wanted to add, because now that we are discussing, where are we, what are we, who are we, what is it, a simulation or whatever, it's quite easy to get paranoid and scared, and fearful. But if you sense and if you feel that's the reality, and it is eternal. It's beyond any illusion. That's where you get your stability, and that's where you are truly happy in the now and truly secure in the now. I'm happy and fine, really.
I get it. I totally get it. But then again, that's part of community too, right? And yeah, I get what Carl's saying too. Let's also define love correctly too. I find people have a definition that means what do I get from love, not how much I love you. And that's that shallow love that's preached on TV and fucking through social programming and all the rest of it. And that's not what we're talking about here, right? Yeah. The family we choose, not the family we're born to. Because I don't know about you guys, but the family I was born to, I really don't have much fucking time or patience for. I don't actually talk to any of them, really, other than my dad occasionally. I just have no interest in my family. They're not my family. They've never been my family. My sister has never fucking been my sister, at least not for at least 30 years anyway. So, like I said, the family that I talk about is the family, the greater family, this family, not, the family we're stuck with when we were kids.
Yeah, my family kind of ditched me. God, long time ago when I started talking all the conspiracy theory shit. Oh yeah, it sucked. It was like a slow die for a relationship.
But here's the thing, for me, is like, for example, maybe that even goes back to what we were talking about when we look at our memories and our attachments and emotional memories. It's like, my sister is 4.5 years younger than me. So there was enough of an age gap that always made it a little awkward when she was into playing with dollies. I was into playing, different games. And there was always that age gap. But I mean, I was very protective of her as the big sister because she's much littler than me. She's like 5 foot nothing, literally. So I was always very protective of her. But once she hit like adulthood and she started to kind of, let's say, develop her full-blown personality type thing, I realized that she was a complete stranger to me. Like, I have no idea who she is. I don't understand how she could possibly think the way she does. Yeah, Deb, my sister, is a bot too. Trust me. My sister is a religious bot that's just wow. And I don't miss her. And I know that may sound really, really terrible, but like, I haven't spoken to my sister. Probably one of the last times I spoke to her was at Nick and I's wedding. So that was 2009. I have nothing in common with her. I have nothing. I have no interest. She's just another person on the street. And it's not about bad emotions, bad feelings, or bad memories, etc. It's just about, I don't know this person. I literally have nothing in common with her. Yeah. Same with my mom. My mom's the same. I haven't spoken to my mom since I left Canada. Not even once. Yeah, Gail, my sister, verges on that as well. Trust me, I get it. And she's religious to boot. So narcissistic sociopath, religious narcissistic sociopath, which is just like another whole fucking ballgame. Because now you got the self-righteousness to a whole new fucking level. Religious zealots, yeah.
I got a question about that, Danny.
What?
I had to walk out of the room for Teresa. I just was listening to what you were talking about, and unless I caught the end of it wrong, is there no possibility that we can love these people? I mean, we don't have to like necessarily be around them all the time, or whatever. Because I have people like that, like actually actively in my life, and I don't know why or how or what, but I don't try to convince them of anything, and they don't try to convince me of anything,
No,
and we just
absolutely. No, I don't mean that at all. I'm talking about.
Like I told you, I just kind of came in on the end, and I know they exist, and they're around probably all of us, and you know, I don't know. I mean, it's just, I have them too. I mean, I've got my special friends that I can complain about them too, but then at the same time, you know, I love certain people that are like that, and you know,
we love who we love. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Who, right?
Yeah.
For me, I'm not talking about a lack of love per se. I don't have, like I was saying with my sister as an example, there's no biological call out to that. There's no link. I'm closer to Gail than I am to my sister. I'm closer to Anne, Brianna, Dawn than my own sister. I would talk to them about shit that I would never even think about fucking talking to my sister about, because, and it's not even the fact that she wouldn't share my views, it's the fact of it just wouldn't cross my mind. There's nothing there. There's no connection.
Yeah. With you, I'm sure it's like with what I do, it's not so much that you want them to share your views, but they push theirs on you. I get that. Yeah, definitely. And I don't, that's why I was asking about it, because, you know, this unity and diversity thing, I think it's sort of going to have to be global, and it's in a way, they don't realize that they're keeping themselves from love, you know, or I don't think they know. I mean, and it's like the higher we get with it, it just seems like I see it affecting them, even if they don't realize they're being affected by it, you know? I mean, I don't know. I think that's the biggest thing right now, because what have they done in all these years that in the history that we know is divide and separate, divide and conquer, divide and conquer, divide and conquer. And even as you know, in the alternative, you know, media and everything, it's all about that. And I've seen so many people lately talking so strongly about how important this love and unity in diversity and celebrating it, you know, might be the whole key. And I'm going to mute now.
No, but see, here's the thing, Teresa, because I agree. There's a difference, though, for me. And I don't know if I can even explain this, because I've gone back and forth on this, and my mind is certainly by no means made up. But I do feel that there are those people out there who are just backdrop. They don't, for lack of a better word, they're not intrinsically real. Whether it is they don't have that, well, like we talked about at the very beginning of the show, that whole consciousness. Maybe they only have a fragment. Maybe it's just enough to keep them operating within the parameters of what is socially acceptable, et cetera, et cetera. I honestly don't know. Like I go back and forth on this all the time. Where I think, okay, there's the whole thing. You don't want to divide. You don't want to separate us. We don't want to do the whole us versus them type thing. But then there are times where I look at it and go, but that's what it is. It's not about trying to create separation, but if the separation exists, calling it what it is can't be bad. And that is my big question is can they wake up? Personally, I know my mom will never wake up, ever. And it's not something that I'm trying to manifest or that I'm, you know, creating that reality. I know my mom will never, ever wake up. She is within that system, so within that system that she might as well be a mindless bot. She is completely under that program. And I don't know, what's the reason for that? Is it because she's, you know, for that Tom Montauk article I posted about, fucking last month sometime, about them being basically soulless or spiritless? Is it that they don't have a level of consciousness? Is it that they're literally just a piece of background programming?
Hey,
what into the storyline?
How do we decipher, or how do we separate the ones that are, they might be real, but they're medicated? You know what I mean?
No idea.
You know,
I have
yeah,
no idea.
we wouldn't know. We wouldn't
No
know.
idea. All we can do is feel, right? All we can do is
That's
feel.
right. That's right.
One of my best friends since we were 13. We were the two loners, the two black sheep who just moved to a new school in grade 9. And we became best friends. And she is going through some seriously harsh shit for the last 10 years. Seriously hard fucking shit in her life. And she has responded by withdrawing into herself and basically accepting, because she was a pharmaceutical technician, buying into all the programming that she's got ADHD and that she has to take Ritalin, and she's depressed, so she has to take an antidepressant, and she's got a problem with this, that, and the other, so therefore she has to take this, that, and the other. And there's certain things I can't, I mean, there's certain things preferably I can kind of talk to her about. There's certain things you cannot, like i.e. vaccines, cannot even talk to her about that, because she has bought into the whole shtick. And she has a child who has Asperger's, and he's fully vaccinated. And I know her that she could never, ever admit that it was the vaccines that she allowed him to have that caused this problem.
Right.
Or could have caused this problem, could be, right? Do I feel that she's a real person? Yes, I do. In my gut. I love her to pieces. I can't be around. Oh, she's in Canada, but I cannot spend much time with her right now because, wow, I can't, you know?
Well, it's like trying to communicate with medication. You know, do you talk to pills? Really?
Yeah, no, and I get it. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
And we've got a whole society of people who've been dumbed down through medication.
Right.
And so that becomes the point where you have to discern for yourself. I can discern for myself about my mom because I've lived with my mom my whole life. I've been through it, and I know the dead eyes that come up. Certain topics come up and the eyes just go completely fucking empty. Now, whether that's through cult programming, social programming, or
it's the same thing you see in the eyes. It's the same thing you see in the eyes of the so-called, shooters in almost all your false flag events. When they show their mugshot, their eyes are always huge. Yeah, but glassed over.
Yep, completely empty. You can see that they're empty. And as I said, there's people I talk to. There are people that I talk to here in my daily life. You go to the shop, the girl who's behind the cashier, who's behind the cash desk, and you go to the restaurant and the server who's always there and always looks after you. And you there's a difference though. There's a difference in the eyes between someone who is there, but just completely under the programming and just within that box, and those who are there's just nothing there. And I mean, there are people around who I watch them and I deal with them. I'm like, wow, you are just a bot. You are just an empty shell. Like there's nothing. You get no, however you want to say you sense it. Do you know what I mean? Like we can, whether we talk about seeing it in the eyes or how you feel about it here, how you perceive an aura. Everyone has their own way of perceiving that. But I know we've all met people just in the public, just when you're out and about, when you're just like, you meet people and you're empty. There's
That's right.
Nothing there.
And
Nothing there.
That's why you don't feel anything or sense anything from them.
Yep.
Because it's empty. You can see it in their eyes and they don't put out any energy. Yep.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Earl.
There are some awake people I met, and they just felt like they say they're so-called awake, but it felt empty to me. Like there was nothing really there. Like it's like, you know what I mean?
Listen, I do not classify all the people who are awake, i.e., in the alternative media, taking part in debates, maybe in a certain realms, right? So I'm not talking about someone who's like unfuckers level kind of like awake. I'm talking about people who are talking about vaccine stuff, or they're talking about chemtrails, etc. There are people in there that I've watched who they are just as not there as other people. I don't.
Danny, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's just a quick one. I PM'd it to you too. I have a friend that's being told they need to take the RhoGAM shot. Does anybody in here know about this at all? The safety of it during pregnancy? I've done a little research, but just wanted to get an opinion.
There is it. This is a really confusing one, and I'm O positive, so I've never had to do that really deep research. I know that there is a lot of people out there who say that they're unnecessary. I myself have never done the research on it. If I know that if the person's having one child and only plans on having one child, and has never had a miscarriage or anything like that, even by the mainstream, they don't need the RhoGAM shot. The RhoGAM is for the second pregnancy, right? Again, it also depends. If your partner is Rh negative, then you have no problem.
That's what I was just getting ready to ask you. Yeah. Yeah. And she's young and healthy, and, they're trying to push it on her. And, we've done some research, but I figured you would, kind of, and that's what I'm gathering. Yeah.
Honestly, I have not, that is one of the few rabbit holes in maternal infant health that I've never really deeply dug into, just because it doesn't affect me in my life. I've never had to deal with that as an issue. And the only person I knew who was Rh negative was my girlfriend, who, again, was totally sucked into it. So she had the RhoGAM shots, the whole bit. Well,
it's wondering about the risk outweighing the necessity. That was the thing of the risk of the shot itself. I've read some, pretty ugly stuff.
I honestly wish I could tell you, love. I haven't done the research. Who could you even talk to? Let me think about it. Remind me tomorrow. We'll see if I can think about Janice Barcello. Do you know her? She does a lot of stuff in alternative, all about child health, pregnancy, childbirth.
Yeah, I interviewed her one time, I think, right?
I didn't know, but she used to do a lot of stuff on CCN with.
Okay.
I can't remember what her name is. That's stupid. I can see her
You can
face.
just shoot the link in my PM. I PM'd you, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I saw your PM, and I only saw it just before we went live, so that's why I haven't responded. But PM me and me again tomorrow to bring it back up. Janice Barcello, okay? Janice,
thank you.
Pretty fucking savvy. Linda B just typed her name in, and I have her as a friend on Facebook, so I can ask her, but remind me. Otherwise, I will fucking forget.
Thank you, Danny. Much love. Thank you so much. Yes, no, thank you.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions, but like I said, that is one of the few things that I have never had to go into that heavy duty research on that. So I don't know. Gypsy Lee, don't even get me started on that one, because in my reality, Rh negative is not the universal donor. The reality I'm from, O positive is the universal donor, not O negative. So that is one of the big questions I had as well on that one too. Was like, well, that just doesn't even make sense. Yeah, the parents determine the blood type, Peter. The question about the RhoGAM shot is if you have if the mother is Rh negative and the father is Rh positive, so the baby will get one of the two blood types. It'll be, if the mother's O negative and the father's O positive, the baby will be either O negative or O positive. if the mother is O negative and the baby is O positive, there is a chance that her body will reject the baby because of the different blood type, which is why they give this thing called a ROGAM shot twice during pregnancy to women who are Rh negative, who have have a positive, an Rh positive partner, is to prevent the mother's body from rejecting the fetus because of its blood type. Yeah, basically, yes. That's the premise of the whole thing. Yeah, no, it is something out there, but like I said, it's just not an area that I've really done a lot of research in. So yeah. Chris, most babies are jaundiced when they're born. It's called breast milk jaundice. It happens to 95% of babies. And they make up all kinds of excuse for jaundice, and we got to put them in the little glasses and put them under the special light and all the rest of it. And it's just just a crock of shit. True jaundice is fucking rare, like really fucking rare. And the way you get at finished jaundice is you breastfeed the baby. Within 4 days, it's gone, because then the mother's milk comes in, and that takes care of the jaundice. Yeah. Yeah, Shane, like I said, in my reality, it was always O positive that was the universal donor. That was one of the big ones that Mandela effects that I brought out in fucking July of 2015. Because when I read that, I fucking lost my shit. I like literally lost my shit when I read that. It was like, no. There you go, Gypsy. Thank you. Yeah. That was that. There's very few Mandela effects where I've had one of those major, like most of them for the most part are like, what? No, that's not right. Okay, on to the next thing. That the universal donor thing for the blood type, that was like insane for me. Like I literally, that was where I seriously started really questioning my reality, because up until that point, most of the Mandela effect stuff that we'd looked at was really just kind of social pop media, TV shows, quotes from movies, nothing really, really deep. That was the first one that made me all of a sudden go, holy shit, this is not fucking possible. What fucking reality am I in? Like, how can that happen? How can it happen? How can the universal blood donor fucking change? How? And that's what set me off in the whole, like, really searching of what, really searching to reality. Stacey, the DTaP vaccine is the tetanus, diphtheria, polio. Blorg, I'm missing one. Diphtheria, tetanus, polio, pertussis, I think vaccine. It's an all-in-one. Pertussis, yeah. It's all in one. No, the measles is different. That's the MMR, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella. So yeah, the DTaP is and now it's even more expanded, because now it's a 5-in-1 in most places, because they got the pneumococcal, and one of the other ones has been added in there as well. So yeah, Stacey, do you know that's the major trick nowadays? Tetanus. Tetanus is the fucking excuse oh, you can't get tetanus because you'll get lockjaw. It's a terrible, terrible death. So we're going to give you a DTaP shot. And that's how they fucking rebooster everyone. You walk into the hospital for any fucking reason, you've got a freaking hangnail. They're going to try and strong arm you into taking a tetanus shot. And what they don't tell you is it's a 5-in-1 tetanus shot. So you just got the diphtheria, the polio, the pertussis, the tetanus, etc. And the entire concept of the tetanus vaccine is so fucking bullshit according to their own fucking science. It's insane. Like, and I was like, there's their own science negates any possible reason to ever having a tetanus shot. Negates it across the board. So, but they use it as the excuse, and it doesn't matter what you go into hospital for. You cut your finger, you got punched in the head in a barroom fight, you were in a car accident, you broke your arm, doesn't matter. Whatever you go in, bammo, they want you to have a tetanus shot. Yeah, it is criminal. No, Elena, it is completely fucking criminal. Completely fucking. And Stacey, your story, I have heard your story at least twice a week for 10 years. I've heard that story. People, they did it to Nick. Nick was in Toronto. He was working in downtown Toronto on, it was doing a night shift. They were installing a special staircase at one of the big shishi stores in downtown Toronto. So they were only in at night when the store was closed. And he smashed his thumb with a hammer horrifically badly. And the doctors pushed him into having a tetanus. And when he got home and told me, I was like, you're kidding me, right? You actually fell for that. Like, how? And he was like, I was in so much pain. And the doctor was trying to check, and she was like pulling on my thumb. I was like literally like in so much agony. And it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm already exhausted. I'd already been up for like 18 hours. They just were like, here, and sign this. We have to give you a tetanus shot. And he just says, I just didn't argue. I just finally let them do it. Oh, listen, yeah, what's going on in Italy right now is fucking criminal. What's going on all over the world with the whole vaccine shit is fucking criminal. Criminal. And it's just insane. It's just insane. One of the things that was brought up is the fact that there was talk that the whole reason why Italy has instituted this mandatory vaccine is because the IMF basically strong-armed the Italian government into putting mandatory vaccine laws in place. Now, wait a second. Why would the IMF have any interest in putting mandatory vaccines in place? They're a fucking money banking fucking bullshit thing. But they strong-armed Italy because Italy's fucking bankrupt. They're seriously destitute. And so that's how they got their next bailout that's going to come in, is because they agreed to put mandatory vaccines in place. Oh yeah, you owe money to the IMF, you're screwed, and they will convince you. I mean, that's honestly, I mean, that's what they did. The whole beyond the whole Ebola scare and all the testing and all the fucking testing of their biological weapons and everything else. One of the biggest things that came out of that is that the IMF then walked into all these countries that were hit with Ebola and offered to help them out for signing over the assets. Like, they don't just get free money. It's not like they walked into these African countries and went, oh, here, look, here, take $10 million to help out with the medical stuff. It was, no, we'll lend you $10 million and for collateral. And it just so happens that 3 of the 4 countries that had Ebola, it wasn't Ebola, but Ebola, are also some of the most mineral-rich countries in Africa. They have gold, they have oil, they have diamonds, they have uranium, they have nickel, they have cobalt, they had, and they're destitute countries that have been under the thumb. So the IMF walked in and just fucking took it all, basically, is what's happened. They just basically took it all. Well, the whole Zika thing is just a complete crock of shit. It's a make-believe excuse. They had to create a paranoia to allow them to do all the stuff with mosquitoes. So I started off the show talking, was that before the show? Before the show, I was talking about the GMO mosquitoes. That was before that we went live. In order to release all these genetically modified mosquitoes, you have to have a health scare. You have to be able to scare people with something. So Zika was totally made up. Zika doesn't cause birth defects, never caused a death, never caused any extreme, illness in its entire history. But you can scare people with it, and you come up with something of microencephaly, which is just a fucking joke, because the United States is like over 50,000 cases of microencephaly a year, higher than Brazil. Why? Because they fucking vaccinate all these pregnant women. That's why. Why are they bringing Zika trials to Christchurch, New Zealand? You've got to be kidding me. But cholera, okay, so here's the thing, Gypsy, cholera is another one of the biological weapons that they've been using. It's a threat, right? And it's one of the ones that they just pick, and they go in and okay, the other thing you may not know about Yemen is they just did a massive vaccination program in Yemen. Same thing with Syria. Syria's got another polio outbreak. Well, why is that? Is because they've just had 4 major polio vaccine things that they've pushed through in the last 5 years. They've over-vaccinated Syria for polio, and they're all using the live polio vaccine, and now they've got their second polio outbreak. Why? It's because they were just vaccinated. That's why. Yes, sorry, John. Yes, I was going to wrap up soon. I just realized that I didn't even realize what the time was. I haven't paid any attention to. Well, John, how about you just go to bed? Just make me host, and you just go to bed. We'll have to shut off the live stream so John can go to bed. John needs to go to bed. He didn't go to bed last night. He was a naughty boy, and I don't even have the excuse. It wasn't me who kept him up this time.
Bye night, John.
So guys, we're going to wrap it up on the live stream. Sorry for you guys, but it has been like almost 3 hours. So that way John can go to bed, because he can't turn off the live stream if he's in bed. Or maybe he can. I don't know. John, do you have a superpower we don't know about? Maybe. Not that one. Yeah, no, the whole thing about the vaccine shit that they're doing right now is just insane. And it's one of the ones that makes me so frustrated, because I have no idea how many are in the live stream right now. Love, I can't turn on the live stream to look, because otherwise we're going to crash Zoom instantaneously. Yeah, it's insane. It's really, really fucking insane. The whole vaccine thing is really, really just grinds my gears. It's one of the few. Yeah. Fight. Sarah, what can we do is we can fight. Inform people. Make people informed. And spread the news that when you have these mass uprisings in Italy, and you have tens of thousands of people marching in the streets against it, make sure you put the pictures out in social media. Make sure you really fucking put it out there. That's how we help. The one little things that we can do when it happens in another country is just make people aware of it. Use social media to our advantage, right? We have it, fucking use it. The whole fucking mafia in general. The whole mafia, medical mafia, banking mafia, fucking oil mafia, energy mafia, government mafia. Fucking, they're all fucking mafia. It's not my fucking reality. I don't like this fucking reality. I really don't have any interest in dealing with these mafiosos any fucking more, because it's fucking ridiculous. My Zoom is all fucked up. My Zoom chat just went all screwy. There we go. Yeah. I'm gonna have one last smoke because I might as well continue chain smoking. And then I'm gonna head off to bed too because it's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning for me. Oh, Gypsy, not so fun. Yep. I don't know. It's a whole thing. If I could just clone myself. If I could just clone myself and have like one clone who could just do things like over here and like set up all the information in the educational shit. Have another clone would go over here and set up all the other pieces over here. If I had one clone who could just sweep and clean my floors for me, that would be awesome. We had another sandstorm come through here the other day, and I'm just like, I can't keep up. I don't know. It's just freaking become useless. It's become useless trying to keep my house clean because we're covered in sand everywhere again. Peter, I just saw you have your hand up. Did you want to say something, hon? Yes. No. Yes. You just have to hit the unmute button. Do you know where the unmute button is?
Can you hear me?
There you go. You got it.
Hi, Danny. How are you?
Good.
I don't get to speak to you very often. I want to say, I just wanted to say thanks for being you. I've been looking into a lot of videos. And I've had this week off. I've taken a staycation, so I'm catching up on a lot of stuff.
Nice.
And I've been looking at a lot of old videos of you. You just seem to pop up everywhere that I'm looking at videos. But because I'm looking into with the help of John and Carl, I've been looking into this money thing. Not that I'm interested in the money. I'm interested in the transparency. I just wanted to say thanks for being you, and I can see that you shifted your gears and you're working on the more personal level with people, and I just adore that about you. Thank you.
Thank you, darling. I appreciate that. Yeah, we all got to shift gears. God knows I'll probably shift gears again next week, and I don't know, maybe I'll take up face painting or something and get Gail to teach me. I don't know. You never know where I'm going to go next. I'm just a free spirit. I just go and do what has to be done in the moment. So soon, when are you coming to give us some lessons, Gail? When are you coming to give us some lessons here? I got kids who want to learn face painting. If you guys don't know, Gail is a makeup artist, and she does some wild face paint shit. It's a lot of fun. So she's promised to bring her shit down and give my kids some lessons. Yeah, you know what, guys? And this is the whole thing. We got unfuckers all over the place, so fucking get together. Has anyone in England organized a fucking unfuckers gathering yet? Hey? All you Brits over there? Has anyone organized anything? No, I think not. So, like, people, I want to see people get together.
Yeah, we've done one, and we really need to get another one doing.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Maybe a little bit of fun instead of some doings.
Yeah, fun stuff like hang out, community, fucking
raise the vibe and spread the love.
Exactly. We've got England's not that far from Malta. Maybe I could even somehow figure out a way to get up there, and I don't know about Ireland though, because Ireland's fucking cold and grey. I just don't know if you're gonna get me over there.
Oh, we gotta go over and see Anne now.
Well, I'd go see Anne. I'd go see Anne at the end of the world, but I don't know. Ireland's like pretty wet and cold. I'd have to bring a winter jacket now if I went up to Ireland at the moment. No, seriously, and you would laugh. So the heat broke today. So remember I said yesterday, like the winds were starting to blow, and it had taken some of the humidity out yesterday. Today we woke up this morning and the humidity's gone. Like the humidity's actually gone. And in the sun, it's hot in the sun, but we have major windstorms going on. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I can hear it, like we hear the wind whistling down the front and off the seat right now. My youngest daughter, Kira, gets up this morning and goes, "Oh, it's cold." I'm like, seriously? Seriously? This is cold? She's like, well, it is. I feel kind of like cold. Like she comes out with like a flannel sheet wrapped around her, like a blanket. It's still 29 degrees outside. But the difference, perspective is everything, I guess. With a 95% humidity, 29 degrees felt cool to her, I guess, in the breeze. Eagle, I saw you have your hand up. Sorry, did you want to say something?
I don't know if you're referring to me or not. I didn't catch the whole program. So just curious if you're feeling any effects of the quakes in the area.
None. It's been so there's all the quakes that are going off of Greece and Turkey, and some of them are offshore, and we're not that far away, like quintessentially distance-wise over a sea. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Well, that's good to know.
I'm happy about
it. I missed a lot of the previous part of the program. What's the latest on Heather? Just a short recap.
I don't know anything. I literally, whatever you see on the IUV.com is probably the best place to go if you want updates. I'm not in contact with any of that crew, so I literally have no idea. I didn't even know she'd been arrested until yesterday morning. Well, my morning, right?
I didn't find out until late yesterday afternoon, my time. So, okay, yeah. That's all.
No problem.
Thanks for doing what you do.
Thanks, Ed. Well, that's it. I've been in earthquakes. We had a couple in southwestern Ontario back when my youngest was just a wee baby, and my bedroom was on the second floor, and I was laying in bed nursing him down to sleep, and all of a sudden you have that like you're in a ship. Just nothing violent, just this kind of gently rocking and go, what the hell is going on? And we got him to sleep, went downstairs on Facebook and was like, and Nelson Brantford feel that? And they were like, yeah, there was just a 3.2 magnitude earthquake like 50 miles away. I was like, okay, first earthquake I've ever felt. So there you go. Yes, Gail, and you have to make sure you give Claire a hug from me when she gets there. No.
Yeah, Anne and I were chatting the other morning, and we were talking about the whole time loopy thing and how fast everything was going, and kind of like it progressed into this thought, and it all kind of like made sense, but it's a bit long-winded to do it now. So we've tried this
conversation we've tried twice to have now. We just never seem to get around to it because we can't get our mouths up long enough to actually get to the important stuff.
So when Claire gets over to Anne, we'll get a Zoom going, and Anne and I can sort of like try and regurgitate the conversation again. And I keep trying to remind myself, but I'm like a goldfish.
That's mine. That's my excuse right now. Is I have a brain of a goldfish, and I say to people all the time, "No, you got to remind me, and don't feel like you're imposing by reminding me. Because if you don't remind me, it ain't going to fucking happen." All the time, I say to everyone, "Just remind me, because otherwise, it's not going to happen."
Yes, Mercy. Yes, join in. We'll do that because it was quite a. It was quite significant, really. So.
If you can just remember it, like with me trying to the opening of the show.
No, I can.
Trying to regurgitate. How long were we on that call for this morning? And what was it like? 3 hours? Yeah, 3 hours. And I was already, yeah, no, it was fucking insane. And I was already talking to Dawn and Maury before that even. So yeah,
it was 4 hours.
It was,
it was 4 hours. Yeah.
4 hour conversation this morning. And then I was trying to regurgitate it and put it down into like a compacted version for this tonight. Funny. Well, guys, I'm going to sign off. And I'm going to say I'm going to go to bed. And all the rest of the European contingency, you guys all need to go to bed too, because it's fucking late for all of us, guys.
Yeah. Sweet dreams.
Yep, you guys all have an awesome sleep. But yeah, a little exercise, like I said, think about your memories. Go back, just kind of take a little bit of time, think about your memories and think about what connections you have to those memories on an emotional level. I'd like to talk about this again. It's kind of what everyone's, pardon me, as I choke to death, what everyone kind of comes up with on that one. I'd just like to hear from everyone. Okay, guys, I love you all. We'll talk to you on Sunday. Bye, guys. I'm trying to